Hello, everybody. Who's out there? You know what I need to do is switch this on and switch the chat on somehow. Erik, is waiting in the wings here. Let's see who's alive. Sorry for being a few minutes late, fellas. If there's anybody out there at the time, I need to pop up the chat. One of the interesting things is that what you and I see, Erik, is delayed by, I'd say, a good 30 seconds. So nobody's in here yet, but we'll just welcome everybody and we'll see. So there, you never know. Maybe I scared them all off, or they're mad because, hey, we like Erik better than you.
Or maybe they're all passed out drunk.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling that we have a lot of heavy drinkers following us sometimes. Anyway, I'll welcome Erik here to my throttle cave, is what it has been nicknamed by a friend of mine. We have 5 viewers already. I think they're slowly starting to stream in.
All righty, cool.
Hey, Whiskey in the Six. I have 4 now, or 5. 5. Rob's in the house. Thanks for coming in, Rob. Must be late. You must be tired, man. All them 2 babies you've been making and whiskey you've been taking care of. Full-time teacher, Muay Thai instructor. Hey, Richie, how you doing, buddy? I hope you got better weather in California than I do. I woke up to a snowstorm. Hey, Elite from Australia, how you doing? Are you at work? So, Erik, you have a bottle sitting in front of you.
Yes, sir, I do.
It looks like a Highland Park from an independent bottler.
Yes, sir. So this is gonna. I don't know if the camera's gonna go back and forth or not.
Yeah, it does. You talk and I talk.
Cool. So all right, yeah. So this is I just call it temptation because I just want to drink this sucker. This is a Doug Lang's single Old Park particular. This is a Highland Park 20-year-old, and it is unbelievably delicious. And it's kind of like a whiskey that I need someone to put it somewhere because every day I look at it and man, I just want to drink it. But it'll be gone really, really, really quick if I do. So I'm saving for special moments, and the special moment tonight is I was just stressed and felt like having something good, so treating myself.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you opened that compass box. So I brought a compass box in to share. I don't know if you're still drinking a compass box. I brought this one in.
So that's extravaganza.
Yeah. So my first YouTube video, my live video, I did with Julia at the kitchen table, and we compared this with the original Spice Tree. So how about we go there?
All right. So, I wish I had a bottle of that one. This is totally unplanned for anybody who's watching this, so it's sort of off the cuff.
If you watch the video, you'll hear me in the end. I basically say you can save yourself a little money, and I don't think there was enough value to say that this was worth more than the regular Spice Tree.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion, and it might change when I pour this because they were both freshly opened bottles, so no breathing. Now this is breathed. So I don't know who else. I'm pretty sure the Scotch Test Dummies has done a review of this. And what about you, Rob? Have you done a video or any compass box reviews? I have a hard time keeping up with anybody. What's the ABV on yours, Erik?
This is 46.
This is 46 as well. So see.
So I did an uncorking. John Post, how you doing, sir? Up there in Washington State.
Hey, Travis. How you doing? John Post, I think I've seen you around in the chats for sure.
So I had got, just for those who are now tuning in, I had gone live earlier, and the brother here tuned in. I was doing it totally impromptu. Now we're doing another totally impromptu. And I just grabbed this compass box, did an uncorking of it, and it blew my mind. Absolutely loved it. And one of these days in the near future, I'll review this. And then I was dipping into this lovely here, the Highland Park 20, and just kind of chatting away.
That's right. So one of the differences with the extravaganza, and I'd have to look this up to be sure again, but the extravaganza has no Klein leash in it.
Okay.
Santa Cruzan, thanks for coming, buddy. Santa Cruzan sent me some wicked pictures of his collection today. And I have to take a look at it here because I think that maybe... Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, the screen changed on me.
Okay.
And I'm like, where'd Eric go?
So if you have Santa Cruzan's address, just send it to me and I'll go raid his house.
Yeah, well, it's not. You don't. Yeah, I would. He had some stuff here. Hey, Santa Cruzan, want to tell us about what you were showing me? You got to find out where it was now. Oh, I think it was on my IG account. It'll come up here in a sec, guys. There are way too many things going on.
So I went live tonight, totally unplanned, because
Santa Cruzan, sorry, one sec there. Santa Cruzan thought that I was showing him pictures from my house. Actually, no. The problem with this is I cannot open and see the pictures again. They're a one-time shot when you see them.
Oh.
But I think his stuff looks a little bit more impressive than mine. So anyway, so
was that on Snapchat?
No, I don't use Snapchat. What do I look like, 12? I know I look young, but I'm only 50.
Anyhow, so I'm very relaxed now. I don't know what. So this has been a really long, stressful week. So I did an impromptu just to sort of chill out and see who showed up. And so now we're sort of migrating over to Daniel's place and continuing the drink fest on Friday night.
Friday night with a bunch of other guys. Like, what is going on here? Rob has the least reason to be on here, from what I know. Two beautiful children and a really nice looking wife, and he's watching you and me. Something's wrong with that picture, don't you think?
Well, at least you got a full head of hair. You got that going for you.
I guess, yeah. It's actually a type of testosterone that causes you to go bald, so that might be in your favor.
I thought it was my mom's. That's my mom's dad, actually, and it runs from his side of the family. The other side of the family, they got a full long hair, they got long beards, and they're tall and thin. So I miss that side of the family.
Did you? I'm doing all right. Actually, my dad's kind of bald, but he's got the best comb over ever. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to get my hard hat helmet, motorcycle, and hard hat haircut soon, which is a lot shorter than this. So
are you guys still have snow? Or you're riding again, or what?
Yeah, no, it snowed today, and then I mean most of that snow's gone, and on Monday and Tuesday we're supposed to get snow again, or it could be rain. If it's rain, then we'll clean up pretty quick.
Okay, because I mean we're right now we're having California weather. You know, it's in the high 60s, low 70s, sunny, clear skies, just a slight breeze. You know, it's the beautiful part of California right now. It's just so sweet here. This is the place to be this time of year, except for the fact that everything's blooming and I'm allergic to freaking everything.
Oh yeah. I have a guy that used to be allergic, and this is in the mountains of British Columbia. I used to live there for a while. And he every year at this time of year, he took something called niacin, which is part of the bee family. It causes a real rush in your body, so your head will turn red, or maybe your chest or a certain part. But apparently, it burns the histamines out. Don't take my my word for it. So,
okay,
but read about it first. It causes a flush, which is kind of a good thing,
right?
So, but he took it religiously, from what I remember.
Claritin and Flonase, and then I have some other prescription.
Those are antihistamines, so they kind of block the histamines in your body from bothering you. This stuff seems to flush it out. So
you know what really helps the most? Another dram.
Yeah, that could help. I don't know what it does with the mixture.
You don't give a shit.
Oh, there you go. So both you and I have been guest on Swami's channel, so that's how I got started. Him and Rob, Whiskey in the Six, they were very encouraging for me to start a channel, and I thought, why not? I only live technically once, and I might as well give it a shot. And I kind of like it. It's entertaining, and I like talking to the guys. Sometimes being live, I get a little jealous because I wish I could be in the chat harder and more like a sniper.
Well, you know, and this is probably everybody comes from a different perspective, doing things for different reasons. And it's same thing like approach to wine. Unfortunately, and everything has everything has in life has pros and cons. Everything's had the goods and downs. So you can have a restaurant that has a killer wine list, great restaurants, great service, but it's too expensive and has lousy parking, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Some things are good, some things are bad, and everything in life is like that. And so I have my pros and I have my cons. I'm super analytical. I'm super academic. I'm super intense, but I'm also what goes along with it. I can be overly judgmental. I can be overly harsh. I can be super critical. It's sort of like the same analysis. You can pick a wine or whiskey to death. If you turn it towards a person, then you're using the same skills in the wrong way. And I don't mean to do that. I don't want to do that, but I can be that way sometimes. And I know, but
hey, being aware that you're a certain way is halfway through the battle. Ask anybody that's in AA. Right? Hopefully there's nobody in AA watching us right now.
I usually fly with AA, American Airlines. So it's a great airline.
Great airline. I've never been on one. I think you've got an interesting idea here, and I think I've heard you talk about inventing stuff. Elite says you should invent a single malt nasal spray. And I agree. He is on the Santa Cruz.
The other thing I wanted is so when I had colds and stuff, I get one every Christmas time, whatever, is a bourbon throat lozenge.
Yes, I heard you mention that on one of your shows.
I don't know if you get it legalized or whatever, if FDA would legalize it here.
Technically, it probably wouldn't have any alcohol left into it once it was made into the hard lozenge, would it?
Well, a lot of the cough syrups, they got like 10% alcohol. So
I got some prescription cough syrup. So, I should do a tasting on it. Oh.
Well, NyQuil has like 10%. So I want a throat lozenge that has like the little bit of alcohol, a little bit of kick, but it's got some honey and some sweetness to it. It kind of coats your throat. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Well, it can happen. You just got to go for it, right?
But I think in terms of your channel, so what do you? I'm saying in terms of a channel, and I've sort of gone. I started off wanting to do something academic because because of my work hours, I don't keep sommelier hours. And so it's hard for me to join a study group. And so I really started my YouTube channel as a replacement for a study group so I can share my notes and force myself to be reviewing wines as part of my study and to prepare for exams. And then then I got the whiskey bug, which I wasn't planning on. And then sort of went from there. And so it all depends on if you're doing it just a social side gig, fun thing, then you can actually sort of do yourself a favor by taking the intensity and not giving it a darn about all the stats and the graphs and the growing and all that stuff that everybody gets all worked up about. You can just kind of chill and have a good time with it.
Yeah, and that's basically what I do. Like I mentioned to you before we started here, I kind of like the Scotch test dummies. They don't do a lot of research. It's just them in the bottle and their opinions, right?
Yeah, and I enjoy them out of everybody. No offense to anybody here, and I would rather watch them than watch me. I like them as people, and I would rather watch them than me.
They got a good camaraderie type of thing, and I think that's why, like even now, it's a little bit easier to do a show because I have you here and we bounce back and forth and so on. So there's a balance to it all. I mean, some people will be better by themselves and so forth, right? So when you go rambling on, and if you had somebody beside you, they're like, hey, stay on subject or whatever, and vice versa. I do that all the time. If you watch my live show, I was like Bart and Julia was like Scott. So,
right. And that takes a little, I was thinking, you think in terms of historically, you think of Abbott and Costello, you think of Dean and Lewis, because some people might not know what I'm referring to. Laurel and Hardy. You think of the classic comedy teams and the dynamic between them, and then I look at Scott and Bart, and they're not the same. It's the contrast and a friendly conflict that actually makes them interesting.
Yes. Oh yeah. It balances out well. I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
tough question I just got here. Can you answer that question for yourself? What's your prized collection piece?
In terms of whiskeys or wines? You remember I talking to a wine guy.
Oh, well, I think since we're doing whiskey, let's focus on whiskey.
Right now.
And I'm doing this to you so I can think and look for one of mine.
Well, okay, so my whiskey collection isn't even a tenth of the size of yours and a lot of you guys. I've only been into whiskeys for about 2 years. Right now,
Keep looking at the bottle on the table.
Right now, if I may be frank, this Highland Park 20 gives me a boner. And the Ardbeg Dark Cove. I am an Ardbeg fan. I'm a little bit too much. I need to broaden my experience and palate. But right now, I love the Ardbeg Dark Cove and I love this Highland Park. But I'm just now getting into this Compass box as well. So I mean, I might have a lot of great, analytical skills, but I don't have the experience that a lot of you guys have. You've been at this for a long period of time. And so I'm planning on making a trip to Scotland mid-June. I have an exam in mid-June, and then I'll go spend 3 weeks in England and Scotland. And looking forward to that, doing a lot of photography, get an understanding of the place and the people and everything else like that. But I'm just beginning in my whiskey journey, and I've written out a 2-year plan of what I want to do once I finish my current wine studies and do a 2-year whiskey study. But I'm still new, and I'm looking forward to the adventure and trying something new. And I think 2 years from now, whatever my favorite is now will not be the same as it is 2 years from now. It's going to change.
So you gave me some time to find a couple bottles that are kind of prized. Both of them are because I've met people and they've autographed them.
I've had that one.
What is it?
I just recognized the 105. I had it from Minis. There were 3 of them, and the third one was a 105. Oh God, I'm having a brain fart.
Well, that's it. 105.
No, but who was the producer?
Glenn Farkless.
Glenn Farkless. So I did a review in which I had 3 minis of Glenn Farkless. And the problem with the whiskeys is there's so many freaking Glens. It all mashes into my head.
Well, I have an interesting story to repeat from George S. Grant, the 6th, 7th, right?
Right.
He was at a whiskey festival in Vegas or Los Angeles, Vegas. I'm pretty sure it was Vegas. And he flew in there, and they're always kind of running. And so they're all set up at the booth, and they open the doors, and people start coming in. And there was a group of guys, 3, 4 of them, walking down the aisle, passing all the other people because Glenn Farkless was way back behind them. And they're like, nope, 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 nope. And they stop and they look at him and they don't say nope, but they look at him and he's like, uh-oh. And these are, I guess they were a little bit bravado type of guys. I think he might have said they were from Texas. I can't remember. Maybe that's where the festival was. But anyway, they look at him like, yep. And he's like, uh-oh. He says, we only drink the Glens. And apparently that's a thing. I guess they only drink the Glens.
Okay. There's the Glens and then there's the Bens. There's a lot of Ben Riach, Ben Romack, a lot of Bens as well.
I think I've got Ben Riachs. What else do I have?
Ben Nevis.
Only one I have. I might have a Ben Nevis, but I think it's only an independent bottling Ben Nevis or an SMWS bottling. Hey, Jason Fisk, how you doing, buddy? Cheers. I'm drinking Compass Box Spice Tree Extravaganza, and Erik Waite has joined me with his Spice Tree. So, are you ready, Rob, to see Rob's? Somebody said Annock 1975. Do you know that's a $700 bottle now? That's ridiculous, man. I mean, it's all right, but
I could get a really good wine for that much.
Have you ever done any research on this?
Bruichladdich, 1991. Oh wow, that looks like a submarine. They got a submarine on there.
Yeah, this is called WMD2, the Yellow Submarine from 1991. It's 14 years old, aged in oak cask for 14 years. It's got an interesting silt on the bottom of it. A lot of the older Bruichladdich had that silt.
So it's unfiltered?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Unfiltered?
Yep.
Is the Yellow Submarine a reference to the Beatles?
No, it is to do with in the bay where they are. I can't believe you haven't heard this story, but I guess you are new at this. One of the locals found a yellow submarine that belonged to the Ministry of Defense.
Oh, geez.
So we called them and said, I found your boat or your sub. They went, what do you mean you found our sub? We never lost a sub. And he's like, yeah, you did, and here's the coordinates. I'm like, no, we didn't lose a sub. You probably stole it or some rambling on like that. So he tied it up, and it became a toy kids were playing on and all this stuff.
Right.
And I don't know if it was a few weeks later or a few months later. I forget the details of the story.
Right.
But they came and with a ship to pick up their sub.
Okay.
And Jim McEwen still was the master distiller then. He had this made up. They had a cuvee ready to be made. Okay. And they had this label made and everything, and they went down and they met the captain of the ship and all this stuff, and they shared some of this whiskey with them and had a fun little time. And this takes me back to Davin de Kergamo, who is our Canadian guy that wrote the whiskey portal book, or portable whiskey expert is what it's called. I thought I had the book in the room here. And in the beginning of his, and you and I were kind of talking about this a bit before, he asked in the beginning of his book, what is the number one ingredient in whiskey? Barley, wine, wood, water, etc. Basically, his answer after that, or his opinion, is what? What do you think it is? What's the number one ingredient?
It's not grain. It's got to be oxygen.
No.
The
story.
Okay, there you go.
You were saying that the guys.
Oh, right.
Are very entertaining. So I love this bottle. Jim told a slightly different story than I've read on the internet.
Right.
And this is signed by Mr. McEwen.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Get the right reflection on it. The only thing, I didn't get him to sign the barrel or bottle or tube. I have 2 bottles of these. And Richie, I got them. Actually, a friend of mine called me. I think he had a daughter or daughter-in-law that worked in a liquor store in Calgary. And I've had these for a few years.
You met him and got it signed?
Yeah, he was doing a couple tastings.
That's cool.
In a couple years in a row, he was very popular out here.
I don't know if you can see this or not, but so I got this Wild Turkey Rare Breed barrel head here.
Yep. And
at the bottom, this is signed by Jimmy Russell, who's the master distiller. And then he dated it 2016.
That is cool, man.
So when I made a trip to Kentucky, got him to sign it. Talk about the story. So Raj Parr, who's a sommelier, and he's written a book on being a sommelier, and then now he's a wine producer and so forth, and a documentary on wine. That's one of the jobs of a sommelier is not just to say what wine pairs with what food, but to tell a story and to convey an imagery behind the wine to the customer, and that is part of the experience to tell the story of the wine.
That's it. And
that's the same thing here. Is I enjoy not just so there's people who do whiskey reviews, there's people who do whiskey studies, and I do whiskey studies, which is probably the most boring. But then there are some, we talked about Ralphie earlier, that he tells a story, and of course, if you have a Scottish accent, then, that beats American or Canadian, right? So,
hold on a second. You and I have the same accent. You and I have the same accent.
No way.
Yeah, we're both Americans.
Okay, you're the Northern Clan. I'm the Southern Clan.
Sure it is. I belong to the United Provinces of North America. What do you belong to? You're the United States.
For sure, dude. Taylor.
Of America. Of donating something bigger. I'm just going to get your U.S. followers to go, what?
We have a gazillion accents here. We talk about New York, Boston, Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Indiana. You talk about the Silicon Valley. You talk about San Diego. We have a gazillion accents here in Texas. Alabama, Georgia. We have so many.
Have you never met somebody from Newfoundland?
I don't remember.
Across Canada, the accent may not vary that much, but there are some areas where it varies a lot. Obviously, Quebec, because And then if you go to Newfoundland or the Maritimes, it changes there because they're out and about.
Right.
Where you been today? Out and about. Hey, Whiskey Frontier, how you doing? So to continue, here is another bottle that I kind of like quite a bit. It is a DNA.
That one's pretty.
A DNA from Brookladdy. So when they shut Brookladdy down, they had some bottles or some barrels, and this is what they kind of based Brookladdy off of when they restarted it in Jim McEwen.
So have you tasted that one, or is it still unopened?
I have tasted it, but mine's not open yet. It's a 36-year-old.
Okay. Oh wow.
And it is also signed by the illustrious Mr. McEwen.
Yeah, I say your camera's working really good. It's nice and sharp. It's working really good, bro.
One of those ones the other guys are using too.
Yeah, it looks really good. If you look at the bottle real quick, so I like marketing. I like bottles. I like good advertisements. I like good videos. I like all that. I mean, look at the detail on the D and the N. If they didn't just put DNA, they have like this really pretty description on it. Is that like a frosted or is that a label?
That is frosted.
Wow, that is way cool.
Yep.
That is way. I mean, that's a lot of work. And then it looks like it has a thick sort of glass bottom to it. There's some weight to it.
All the bottles are like that. This even has the silt on the bottom too.
Okay. That's a beauty.
And I got fortunate enough that I got Mr. McEwen to sign the can as well.
That's way cool.
Not that anybody, but I thought it was cool. Yep.
So let me ask you a question. So, it's kind of like, so I grew up as a Star Trek family, and it was Star Trek geek and whatever. And sometimes the people, they're collecting Star Trek stuff, and then they're afraid to open it because it was autographed by some actor out of Star Trek, and it's a freaking Star Trek toy. You're going to tell me you're not going to take the phaser or the tricorder out of the box because so-and-so signed it?
I know some guys like that, right? When I moved out here from the East, I had thousands of comic books, about 3,000.
Right.
And if I could have certain people sign them, I mean, some of them were ridiculous. But I sold them all. I mean, I decided I wanted to do something else, and I took the money and probably whatever. So you were talking about Glenn Farkless, that you noticed this box. What you probably had in your tasting, in your little kit, you had 3 of them, right? 3 different ones? Correct. Would have been this.
Okay. What's the difference?
Well, this is interesting to show you. This is the 105 cast strength. Okay. So it's a cherry bomb.
And I remember it being, for me being a bit too much. And I remember Quig commenting on my video that he really liked it. But for me, it seemed over the top.
It's 60% ABV.
Okay.
I don't know what part was over the top for you. It is a sherry bomb. I mean, that's what they're into.
Right.
This is the new bottling. It is 10-year-old whiskey in here, cast strength. And then I found this bottle sitting in the back in a closed cabinet at the liquor store. Of course, the staff there have no idea. They don't care. They're getting paid minimum wage. They just buy it and get out.
That can be good and bad, but
this is probably a 10-year-old release.
Okay.
Of the same juice.
Okay.
Glenn Farkless. And I don't know if the light's going to show it very well, but the coloring, and it's not the greatest. This bottle in my right hand,
it looks kind of red,
is darker than this bottle.
Okay.
Like quite a bit. So
the one in your left hand looks a little brownish, caramel, and the other one looks a little, of course, camera and lighting, it's hard to tell. I can distort it, but the one in your right hand or to my left looks a little more reddish.
So we go back to one of the guys I liked the most once upon a time, and what he said about whiskey, and that would be Ralphie. He was doing a review about Johnny Walker Red Label. Someone had given him a bottle that they found in the back of their grandparents' closet.
Right.
It was like 25 years old, never opened. And he compared it with a new bottle. But the short of the story is, he asked, well, he didn't ask. He said, all whiskey is rare. Because he says there are similarities.
Sure.
But the old one he preferred. He gave a higher Ralphie thing to it. Hey, Keith, how you doing, buddy? We're just talking about prize collection things, and I'm drinking Extravaganza of Spice Tree, and Mr. Erik Wade has joined me, and he's drinking Spice Tree. So before I get lost off of topic, this just shows that there is a slight difference over the years of whiskey. And what Ralphie said in that review is that all whiskey is rare. The water changes, the barley changes.
Sure.
And I think I mentioned this one time when I first started watching you in one of your comments about something happened in the world of wine during one of the nuclear explosions or a volcano where the ash landed in the Mediterranean area and it actually changed pH. Is that ring a bell to you?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they didn't know what the cause of it was. But so you had some really bad vintages in France, for example, in Bordeaux and Burgundy, because of a sort of we would think of like a nuclear fallout or, really bad climate change due to the fallout from a volcano.
There you go. So it changed. So then again, there you go. All the wine in those times, they are now changed. I mean, obviously, a wine before that time would probably be coveted right now, right?
Right.
So one of the unique things also about 105. So this here, it's a 10-year-old cask strength single malt Highland whiskey, represents tradition and experience handed down through 6 generations. In the 19th century, a natural cask 60% or 105% British proof. Hence the name 105. So do you know what the difference is between the USA proof and the British proof?
Oh, man. I have read about that because it was part of my, sorry to always bring this kind of stuff up, Unit 4 studies. But off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is.
Well, I'm going to be a snarky little bugger.
There you go.
And tell you because it's Americans like easy math.
Well, I just don't like math at all. Nobody in my family was a math major. We're all literature and languages and stuff like that and philosophy. None of us are mathematicians.
So, proof comes from gunpowder.
Sure.
And when the sailors in the Navy were given their ration of rum every day,
right,
there would be a test done. Obviously, maybe not with your ration, but they would put a couple drops of the rum into some gunpowder.
Right.
And if it ignited, they considered it 100 proof.
Right.
If they were trying to rip them off by watering it down and it didn't ignite, then there would be a different kind of proof going on the ship.
Right.
My father was in the Navy in World War II.
That story I knew. That one I was familiar with.
So ABV, I believe, is in the area of 54, 55 point something. Right.
In order to be bubble blonde, it had to be 50.
Yeah. Whereas you're down on the States, 50%, 100 proof.
Right.
So I'm going to, before I show this one coveted bottle, and I don't know if Whiskey in the 6 is there.
Okay.
I'm going to show you the 2 12-year-olds I have. So this is the new bottlings of 12-year-old.
Okay.
In a cardboard box.
Right, a little more generic.
This is the much older one, and it is in a metal can, and it has all the generations of the Grants on it.
Oh, that's way cool.
This is John Grant, 1805, George Grant, 1830, and then you have the next George Grant, 1874, and then George Grant, 1923, and George Grant, 1951. So we're going to take a look here.
Wow, that's pretty dope.
2 different bottles. And you tell me if you don't see a difference in much more drastic color difference.
Yeah, the one on, of course, my left, your right is definitely darker. I mean, that's not hard.
And that's a much older bottling.
It looks like, so the one on your right looks more like an apple cider tea, and the one on your left looks more like a root beer.
Yeah, and they're both 43%. And I've been a big fan of Glenfarclas for a long time, but the recent ones, because of the lower ABV, I haven't enjoyed as much. So, Whiskey in the 6 asked, I showed you 2 of the coveted ones I have that I like in my collection. And that's the 2 Brookladdies. So I started with Glenrothes first, and I didn't know anything about them, so I was buying. You know, it was a $55 bottle here in Canada,
right?
And I still have some Glenrothes, and I still get Glenrothes. What I really like about them is it's 50-50. 50% of the people that try it hate it, and the other 50 like it. But Glenfarclas, and I have a picture of me holding this beside George S. Grant from whatever year he was born. He's still around. And on it he wrote, "Drink me."
Yeah.
Because I told him that, hey, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to get some guys I know, and I'm going to just pour Avalor Abunde.
Right.
It's a similar color. And I'll charge them $10 a picture so they can hold this bottle up and stand beside it. But the difference with this one, have you noticed yet? What was the difference?
You wrote it off camera.
I know. I thought you would have seen it. An eagle-eye sniper like you. It's a 20-year-old.
Oh, right. Okay, it's an age statement. 20 different. Okay.
Can I find any more of these? I have not been able to find this stuff. I should have bought everything. And wow. That's a nice color. Wow. And he signed the bottle for me too.
You know, so the thing about it where he says "drink me." So I'm not a wine collector. Have you ever seen the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with Steve Martin and I can't remember the actor's name. English guy. Somebody remembers his name. Anyway, really funny movie with Steve Martin. Both of them guys are hustlers. And he takes
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Yeah, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Anyway, great movie. He takes Steve Martin through his wine cellar, and he shows him all these great wines. And he says, when are you going to open? He goes, "Oh, I would never open them. They're too important or whatever." And then he says, "Oh, so you're going to sell them?" And he goes, "Oh no, I would never sell them. They mean too much to me." But there are people like that in the world who they have these insane wine collections, and it's all bullshit. They don't have wine collections; they have bottle collections because they're never going to freaking drink them. So what does it matter what's in the bottle if they're never going to drink them?
Yeah.
And one of the things, interesting things about interacting with the Japanese and Japanese high-end businessmen is they buy insanely expensive wines and they pull the cork while doing business. They are not about collecting; they're about drinking. And I'm like, that's me 110%. I may have something that I'm waiting to get to, but unless I croak, I will open it. I will drink everything I own eventually. I'm not a collector of anything. I'm a drinker of wine and whiskey because none of my relatives, if I croak, will appreciate it the way I can.
I'm in the same way there. I just asked Jason Fisk. I'm not sure if he was commenting about us or the Glenfarclas 105. I think he said he sees lots of them around. But if you do, that's great. Let me know. Keith, what is going on here? I didn't like Angel Envy that much, so I was surprised about how the midwinter. Yeah, there's a midwinter night dream was mixing rye and port barrels. I'm going to show you that bottle and remind me if I forget to go get it. I have a midwinter night's dream, or maybe it's called something different, but it's still from High West. What I would like to do is have a show with the Malted Man Cave and Mead Mule, his cousin, because I think they need a rematch. They did whatchamacallit, Roy Aquavide's quiz.
Oh, okay.
And they say it's a tie, but I think that Mead Mule might have beat his cousin. I'm not sure.
Good.
Hey, Tom. Is Tom R on here? No, I don't see Tom. Did I see Tom?
I haven't seen him. Might be. So what's Malted? I'm curious. What's Malted Man Cave drinking? What's everybody else drinking?
Yeah, what is everybody else?
Yeah, okay. So Tom Murray just commented Steve Martin. So Steve Martin, and I'm trying to remember the other actor's name in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Anyway, real funny movie if you haven't seen it. But that's a classic scene that sticks in my head is the difference between collectors and drinkers. And often the collectors are guys who have too much freaking money and they spend millions of dollars on stuff just because it doesn't mean anything to them. And they build these huge wine cellars to show off to all their friends. But they're never going to drink it because it's not about drinking. It's about freaking showing off. Or people are buying stuff, because it's not about drinking. It's about waiting for it to increase in value, and then they're going to sell it and make a profit. And people can do whatever it is, whatever they own. I don't have a problem with that. But for me, bottom line is the love of whiskey and wine is eventually, when the time is right and you get the right company, you're going to pop the cork or unscrew the cap and drink it.
He's drinking. Keith is drinking an Old Man 18. That sounds very nice.
Nice.
Roy, what are you drinking, Tom R? And hey, what a generous gift he gave the other day to the Scotch 4 Dummies. I think I got that right. Yes, I did. Thanks very much, Elite. Off. He's got to take off. Eh? Well, you have a good evening in Australia, all right?
So I don't think I've ever seen Elite before. Where is he located?
Australia.
Australia. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh.
So what else have I got going on here? Oh, you know what, Eric? Because I see it in the back of your freaking shows all the time. And on Drinking Caveman. He's on there all the time.
Oh, Ardbeg. Yeah.
I had to go get one.
Oh, yeah.
I have Ardbegs. I haven't even opened yet.
So that's the 10.
That's a 10, yeah. That's
what people really available where you guys live, Canada, and then in the UK and Europe, but they're not available here. So for here, it's actually a rarity. But
oh, cool. Richie, you're drinking the new Longmore 16, I think, not the old one. And I think I can get a couple more, but the guy wants $200 more than they sold for 4 or 5 years ago. I think he's a little ridiculous.
So I wish Lefroy and the others would do those as well. I'd like to have a whole, Isla, lineup.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I'm in the I don't care if you're in a t-shirt and underwear. Just don't stand up. You're always worried about being on the cover of some teenage fantasy magazine. Come on, Keith. I mean, you're not a kid anymore, man. Stop living in the past. No problem, buddy. I don't care. Hey, I get up in my t-shirt and I'm freaking 42% body fat. If I add in my arms and legs, I can bring her down to about 37. But
hey, screw a 6-pack. I got a full freaking keg.
Yeah, man. Longmorn, Richie Daniel. I have the brown box. I have the green box, which I'm not even going to haul out because I know I don't care if that thing went up to $10,000. I doubt I'd get rid of it. I got that at my great niece's wedding that same day I met Julia. And I bought it because all they were serving there at the wedding was Chivas.
Oh, jeez.
And I had to drive my dad home. He's older, eh? So this is about 5 years ago. And I stopped at this liquor store on the corner and whatever. Anyway, I saw this stuff and I bought it. It was 16 years old for $75. I'm like, let's take it, right? Being skinny is overrated. But if you see me on Instagram, you'll get to see what I do for a living. And sometimes I have to crawl into some pretty tight spaces. So,
all right.
Yeah, I work in refineries and I do inspection.
My main thing is when you get onto an airplane, they are not meant for either the tall or the wide-bodied.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so when I see someone who's over 6 feet tall, the first thing that goes to my mind is, oh, geez, that guy's going to be really uncomfortable on an airplane. Last time I flew with United, I'm only 5'10", so maybe that's average height, but my knees were up against a chair in front of me, and I could barely get my ass into the seat.
I'm 5'10". This is the bottle that everybody's talking about, whether it be Whiskey Vault or Roy.
I just drooled on
my bottle.
Oh, wow.
So maybe I'm screwing the camera up by moving too much.
Yeah, they don't.
It has a leather band on the top, and the distinct difference, besides color, is this tab on the collar.
Oh, nice.
Metal. It's actually a piece of metal, right? It's a very thin piece of metal, but it's a piece of metal.
Yeah.
And it's a green box, greener, dark brown, greener, whatever you want to call it, and it opens up like that. And in Canada, they had to put French in it. Long on more, and then the French.
Oh, wow.
Which is just a slip-in piece of plastic. It pulls out or something.
So, do you consistently get your whiskeys from the same place, or are you? I mean, where are you going to? I mean, because I hear the complaints all the time about you guys up north. having challenges and getting stuff, but you seem to not have any problems getting certain acquisitions. So, I mean, where are you going?
I don't really. First of all, it depends on who's saying that and where they are, right? If you're, say, Swami in Quebec, sure, he gets different stuff than we do. And I will complain that how come Ontario has this and we didn't get it, and we're you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's technically, it is, I don't know. We get lots of stuff up here that you guys don't get, and vice versa. Right. Malted Man Cave, that is the one that Roy says is better than the new stuff, yes.
Okay.
The new box is, yeah, the new purple box one is really nice. Yeah, it's nice, but how much is it, Richie, where you are in California? Yeah, back. Hey, Tom R., you're back again, being, you know, okay, boom, boom, boom. What are you drinking, Tom? I think I asked that, but I might have missed it.
So the one thing here, because I know a lot of people in the industry, the one thing here is if I can't find it retail, I can call someone, and if they can't get it, they know somebody who knows somebody.
We have a website we can go to up here.
Yeah.
It's basically the website for everything has to go through that site.
Right.
You were the distributor of your own product.
Right.
It would have to go through Liquor Connect, it's called. And you can go on there and source stuff and see, but it's not very accurate. And that may be their fault, or it may be the individual liquor stores not updating their stuff as quick as they could, right? So you could type in Glen Farkless 105, 20-year-old, and da-da-da, and it'll say somebody has it, but yeah, they had it 6 years ago, you know?
Right. So Christian put in their Total Wine. So do you guys have Total Wine in Canada?
We have what is known as Wine and Beyond.
Okay.
And I believe that they were, they're the same company corporate-wise.
Right.
But in the last year, they had 4 different CEOs up here, and they had now separated from the U.S. We had a Canadian CEO. This is what I've heard through the grapevine. You can't quote me on it.
Right.
Because in Canada, weed is about to become legalized.
Right.
And in the just before Christmas hit, the holiday times before that, they were liquidating. They were selling stuff, wine, beer, alcohol, spirits at cost. I mean, I bought a fortune of stuff at cost. Like, I phone up somebody that I regularly buy from, to go back to your initial question, and they're like, that's cheaper than I can buy it for. Right? Wow. Buy it. They tell me, buy it, buy 2 of them and sell me one. Right? Because they were trying to get more cash. They are changing their store names because they also have, it's Wine and Beyond, or they're huge monster size stores.
Right.
And those will stay the same and carry a larger variety. But now they're bringing in what is called Drink and Beyond. And Beyond.
Right.
Beyond. So they will have a dispensary separate from the store, but part of the building, I guess.
They're going to have a gardening department?
Yeah, they'll have a gardening department. Absolutely. So everybody is hedging their bets that marijuana sales are going to be way above booze sales. Okay. So I personally don't care because I don't do this stuff.
Right.
I barely drink.
Think about opening a chain of pizza restaurants that'll all be across from dispensaries.
Well, I think we have a lot of pizza restaurants, just like everywhere else does. I think that they're going to have a boom as well.
Yeah.
I might just have a snack cart somewhere with some weird stuff. I'll send you a link. We have a comedy thing up here through the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting. It's called 22 Minutes.
Okay.
And now that I have your email address, I'll send you a link to a little skit they had where a Canadian police officer pulls over these 2 people that have been stopped at a stop sign for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And it's just a spoof on how are we going to do sobriety tests for people that are stoned.
Right. Oh, right.
And finally, it comes down to he holds 2 different snacks out. He holds raw cookie dough and a bag of chips, and he sees which one they go for.
Okay, there you go.
If you go for the cookie dough, okay, you're over the limit. Get out.
So here, there's a chain of stores called Beverages and More, or BevMo. This is a story I've gotten through the people in the business. Is Total Wine offered to buy them out. They said no, thank you, And then Total Wine subsequently started putting a store everywhere there's a Bevmo. And Total Wine and More here is like Toys R Us. The layout, the volume, the quality, the selection, as well as I would say generally the service is really, really good. And Bevmos are closing up left and right, and all the employees are going over to Total Wine and More. And there's supposed to be 11 eventually in the San Francisco Bay Area. There might be 5 now. I don't know exactly, but they're really booming like crazy here.
Well, there's
not to do an ad for them or anything.
I think I've been missing some questions here. Somebody asked, "Is that yeah? Okay, no, that was Keith's question. Any questions I'm missing, guys? Sorry, let me."
So Tom R said he was drinking rum earlier.
Tom R, I asked me if I. Or was it somebody else? Somebody else asked me, maybe it was Santa Cruz, and if I was going to do rum reviews, I could. I haven't even done a whiskey review technically. I've just done live chats.
Right.
Total. I don't like Wine and Beyond either. Their prices, especially for the vintage stuff, is very, very high up here, and I believe they are the same corporation. They are. Listen, we can all talk about being Canada and USA, but technically a lot of the, I mean, come on, we have all the same home builders that you guys have up here, like Home Depot. You have them in the States. We got Costco. We're just another part of the.
Well, there's a lot of businesses here in the United States. On the West Coast, they're called one thing, and on the East Coast, they're called something different.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, it could be the same restaurant or the same store. It's just called something different in different places. The one thing, Walter Man Cave says he doesn't like Total Wine because they don't ship to Ohio. The one thing I have with, and again, talking with people in the industry, they've been really good to me, and this is across the industry, people who work in the industry, all sommeliers I know, people working in restaurants or working whiskey or wine retail, they're into it because they love it, not because they're making any money at it. Because I make 3 times the amount of the average sommelier in what I'm doing, which is why I haven't left my line of work to go work in that, because they're barely scraping pennies together and working in the industry. And so that's why I'm a big tipper, and I help those people out. But I know the people that work at the whiskey or wine retail, they don't make jack diddly.
Yeah, no, you know what? And even the brand ambassadors and whiskey or the reps, people think it's a great job. They don't make a lot of money.
No.
They get a lot of kudos and a lot of, all their expenses may be paid for, all their traveling.
But it's a nice lifestyle.
So I'm going to grab some stuff for Tom R.
Okay.
And this is as far as I know about rum. Although I might let Erik take care of the show, and I'll go grab an empty bottle of rum.
So Tom R just asked me, what are your thoughts on Spice Tree? So I just opened this. I did sort of an uncorking. I love this whiskey, and eventually I'll get around to do a more formal review of this. And I'm sure it'll be even better when I do, because now it's had some time to open up. Now it's had a little bit of oxygen. And so later when I get around to doing a formal review, I'll be able to compare sort of my notes now between what I did. So I did a live show earlier, if you didn't catch it. So we just started off, I did an impromptu live show, WTF live, whiskey, that's fantastic, Friday night thing, just to relieve some stress, because I just had a hard week, 1-800-WHEN, but I was just in the mood to hang out, drink some whiskeys. And so that's how I got into this. I just asked, what should I open? So I ended up opening this Compass box, and then again had some of this little old particular Highland Park. But so I did a little bit of a short little review of this Compass box from an uncorking perspective, and I'm freaking loving this. I really, 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 really like this, and I'm looking forward to approaching it again. It may be a few weeks, but for a blended whiskey, this is the best blended whiskey I've ever had. I really, really like this. So anyway, so that's in short now. And if it's this good now and being newly opened, what's it gonna be like a few weeks from now or whatever, when it's had more time to open up and develop in more? It's got to get even better. So anyhow, so Daniel's looking for something. Tom R says, my Spice Tree bottle got better the longer I had it open. And that's what I'm looking forward to. The one problem I have with something that's been opened and it gets down about here is it just like, I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it. I know it's got to be good now. I just, to be patient and just, and get back to it another day. But man, it's awesome. Because I'm sort of rewarding myself after a long stressful week. That's why I got it back into this Highland Park 20, this single cast sourced by K&L. I just sort of as a treat after having a long week. But thus far, this compass box, I'm freaking loving this. So, Artie, what you got now, brother?
Well, you know what? Because Tom R had me thinking of it, and he likes Diplomatico, I can't find it. I have an empty bottle, and I don't want to lose it. The cork is attached. It's like it must be, I don't know, half an ounce. This thing weighs a ton, and we bought it when we were out of town in a different province, actually, where Whiskey Whistle lives in Manitoba on a job, and it is a vintage rum, and I can't find the empty bottle. Sorry, I don't know if I misplaced it or maybe Julia chucked it out.
So I got a couple questions for you. One, how do you keep? So I keep an inventory of everything where I've got. So I've got, you can't see it. So I've got two short cellars below me, like wine refrigerators. I have a couple other ones on the other side, and then I have a walk-in closet where I got stuff over there, and then I have my whiskeys over here. Do you keep a written inventory of everything you got, or just sort of whatever's on your mind or top of your head?
I downloaded an app from a guy named Daniel Nielsen out of Norway called the Whiskey Log.
Okay.
And so with the Whiskey Log, I don't know if we can see it very well. I have my list here. You can scroll through. And, you can pick some, like here's a Ardbeg Ugadel.
Right.
So it expands, and you can do your notes.
Right.
I think it was a little bit of money for it, whatever, but, you can tap the picture, see a bigger picture. You can do your notes. So you have a rating out of 100 on here, and then nose, taste, finish, body. I don't use any of those, but I do type in like purchase second bottle June 20th, for $78. I put something in the notes for it. But for someone like yourself, I think you'd probably enjoy it quite easily. Plus, I carry it on my phone. I go to the liquor store. I'm like, do I have that? Like, do I want another bottle? Like, I better check, right? So
I've bought more than one bottle. Go, ooh, I'm gonna get that, and then I bought it, and I get home, I go, oh, I already got it.
I have done that myself more than once, which is all right because I liked it. But this works very well. It's just called Whiskey Log. It has a connection to Twitter, and of course the hashtag is Whiskey Log.
Right.
You see some people use it all the time, usually new people that are newly adapted to the app. Plus it's shareable. I can go on settings and I can download it in the cloud.
Okay.
And you can share it as well, right? If you want. So whiskey.
So the last place I lived, if you look in the older videos from like 2016, 2017, everything was in one place. I had it under the stairs. It was a 2-story place. Under the stairs, walk-in closet, and I had all these racks set up. So everything was one place. So I knew where everything was, and I kept everything organized according to where that. But then when I moved into this place, everything kind of spread out all over the place. And there's a lot of, I kind of know, I have kind of sort of Bordeaux over here, and I have this over here. But sometimes I have difficulty finding what the heck it is I'm looking for.
Well, because I moved. I bought some more shelves for my collection. And I moved everything out of one room, and I showed you the table. My buddy made beautiful spruce and cedar table.
Right.
He bought the same wheels that you put on a piano on it, so it rolls really nice. I mean, the wheels are probably $60 each.
Right.
So everything got moved into here, but I still have, and I haven't decided yet, a whiskey wardrobe that I basically kept all my open bottles in, right? And I kept these other ones separate, but I might, because I think most of my whiskey drinking will be done in front of the camera. I might just move everything in here. That's what you might see on the cart that I have behind me.
So I was thinking, what is to the space to the right of me? I just renewed my lease. So This area over here could end up getting filled in with more shelves and more, everything else. So, but I think if I was in your space, I would probably organize things geographically. You know what I mean?
You like movies. Have you ever seen High Fidelity?
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember. I don't think so.
I forget the actor's name now just because I brought it up. But he owns a record store, secondhand record store.
Okay.
And the whole movie is about him and his girlfriend break up, and then he starts going through the list of all his ex-girlfriends to see, what he's doing wrong or something. It's comical, but his record store, got Jack Black in it, a couple other people. It's pretty funny show. Anyway, he does something in there where he's going through. Yes, thank you, Duncan Hamsworth. Thanks for being here, as well as John Cusack's in the movie.
Okay.
It's a good movie. Yeah, everybody. Vegas Arts, Jason Fisk. Vegas Arts, give them another shout out here. They just became a new subscriber to me, which I muchly appreciate. Anyway, he has a room like this, wall to wall. It's just an apartment somewhere. I don't know if they're in New York or what city they're in.
It's all
vinyl records.
Right.
And one of the guys that works for him comes over and he's there and he's got piles of records. And he's like, what are you doing? He says, I'm sorting it out by year and events that happened to me when I heard this. It's so many different ways to organize your whiskey, right? So you're saying that instead of organizing my whiskey by brand,
right,
I should do it by what?
Well, you could go alphabetically. So you had Ardbeg would be up near the front because you got an A.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could go geographically, or you could go stylistically, or you could go by ABV, or you could go by point score.
You could do lots. Geographically could get a little confusing. So, for example, Highland or Glenfarclas calls itself a Highland.
Right.
But they're in Speyside.
Right. Oh,
so technically, those guys that are in Highlands or in Speyside, they can call themselves either, and some choose to call themselves a Highland. Now, maybe they're not going by region. Maybe they're going by the style of how they make their whiskey.
Right.
And I agree with you, Richie Z. High Fidelity is a great record store film. It is actually it was one of my favorite films.
I'll have to check that one out.
Some people might consider it a chick flick, but I liked it. It was hilarious. That and what's the other John Cusack movie where he goes back for a reunion?
Too many drams and it's too late in the night.
I've only had one dram. You're ham.
I've had 3 or 4.
What should be my next dram? What should it be?
Vegas Art says he says he's organized his records autobiography.
That's what he was doing. Yes, Vegas Arts, you're smart as a whip. He was doing his records autobiography or whatever that word. Maybe I have had more than one dram. I don't know.
So I have a lot of books.
Duncan, it's Gross Point Blank. There you go, Duncan.
Gross. So I have a lot of books, and so where I do my wine church from or whiskey church from, I have all my theology books. But in my living room, I have a lot of wine study books, and so they're all organized. Bordeaux, Burgundy, Australia, whatever. Those are organized geographically. So if I get, so these are like sort of Isla here. I mean, I don't have a huge collection. I think my bourbon's Japanese up there, but eventually I'll probably go totally geographically because that's how I think.
That's how you think? I don't really think that way, but Tom R has a better way than both of us, I think. He has 2 ways that he organizes his whiskey. That's in the bottle and in my belly. Tom R, you're the best, buddy.
In my liver. Well, I'm planning on a 2-year study of whiskeys, which I'll do. I'm a study of every distillery I can get a hold of in all of Scotland. I'm hoping it'll probably take me 3 years, but right now it's planned out as 2 years. I've been mapping it out and scheduling it. I'm guessing it'll cost me anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000. And I'm planning on making a trip to Scotland. I have an exam on June 13th, which I'll be really, really stressed out for. So I'll jump on a plane the next day, fly to London, hopefully be there for a couple of days, maybe meet Jason Whiskey Wise, and then go over to Scotland, spend a couple of weeks in Scotland, and I might bring home some things if I can. I don't know how customs is going to work with me. The hard to find.
Aren't you allowed certain things that so many per every day you're away?
Well, I actually worked with customs. So I worked with the DEA for 4 years down on the Mexican-American border.
Yeah.
At the time, we were at the yeah. So I worked along with customs and INS. At the time back then, you were allowed to bring back one bottle from the border because their concern was that you were illegally being an importer rather than personal use.
See, yeah, I don't know how that works here, but last time I was down in the States last year with a buddy and we on our motorbikes, and we came back. I came back with several bottles, although that was only from the duty free when I first went through. I was down in Oregon and Washington, and I never stopped at one liquor store. But they didn't even question us when we went through. I said, yeah, I guess, nah, go. Thank you.
So Rich just asked me if I've ever been to half price books, and the answer is no. Most of my stuff I get are from Amazon, and I don't buy as many books as I used to. I just don't have the room for them, and they're a hassle to pack up anytime I want to move. So my hope is anything that I can buy here in the States. Like when I went to Bordeaux, I wasn't gonna buy because why go through the hassle of trying to carry it. But if there's things that you cannot get here in the U.S. that I can pick up in Scotland, I'll pick those up as treasures to bring home as part of my study.
Duncan Hamsworth, are you? I was going to type this in. Are you a massive John Cusack fan? Because you know every one of the movies. But I don't know what the Jack Bull. He actually, one of the things people don't realize about John Cusack is he was a massive fan of martial arts. I believe he's trained in martial arts. And in Grosse Pointe Blank, he actually has a fight with an assassin. The assassin is what used to be a champion martial artist. And I'm going to forget his name now. I can't believe this. I'm going to have to buy some Adderall to do these shows so I can stay focused.
Or drink some coffee in between.
Or coffee, yeah, that's one of the things. I've been up since almost 5 o'clock this morning and 10-hour work, and then came back.
I've been up since 5 o'clock, and I'm standing. I'm not sitting down. But I'm leaning on this table.
Yeah, but you got them fancy wigwam socks on, brother.
Yes, I do.
You just love movies. I don't blame you. Richie, to do with your art bag, you have the Dark Cove. Is it the committee release? And why not open it, buddy? I mean, I've opened up stuff.
I have two of the committee release, one for saving, maybe trading in the future, and the other one I've opened.
Yeah.
Well, I got it for $150 each.
I'm going to share some of the stuff I got just recently. I am a big Tomatin fan.
Oh yeah.
I've had this bottle before. This is their French oak.
Okay.
Finish. It is excellent stuff. I haven't opened it yet, but since you're a wine guy, I'll open this up and just let you see the wine color in it.
So that's sort of the funny thing. So they'll talk about American oak or French oak, which is fine, but French oak containing what? American oak containing what?
Yeah.
That's it. Unless it's a new barrel, it's more or half as much as. So like a new American oak that once contained, let's say, Silver Oak Cellars Cabernet Sauvignon is different than something that contained, a Petit Syrah out of Lodi. You know what I mean? It has a different impact. Or a French oak that contained an Armagnac versus a French oak that contained a Bordeaux or a Sauterne. So
you'll have to go on their website to find out. I used to be friends with a lady that was the ambassador on this, so I think I'm still friends with her. But she owned her own company. She is no longer the ambassador. Tomatin decided to go with a bigger company, and that hurt them here anyway. Their sales have gone down because I think a lot of us kind of. First of all, I've never seen a Tomatin tasting since she's left. Wow. So really, I mean, having the right people is important for their business, and Tomatin was doing very, very well. I wanted to replenish this, so I got one of these. Old Putney 21.
Okay. Hey, can I see the bottle real quick on that one? I was kind of curious. So I went to the Whiskeys of the World event in San Jose and San Francisco recently. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The shape of the bottle, it looks like a still.
Yeah.
And the stories, I asked the rep about that. She said there was some story, I guess they built the still and then they couldn't get it inside of the distillery. So they had to chop the top off and then reassemble it.
Yeah, you never heard that story before? So this has a bunch of floaties in it.
Okay.
I think it got cold once, and this is an older bottling that's been sitting at that liquor store for a while. So I thought
those are your vitamins.
Those are my vitamins. Yes, it is a weird shaped bottle for the box. And who just asked if I had a whiskey cart in here? Yeah, I do. I have a whiskey cart. Just, I got to have something to move things around a bit, I guess. I don't know why. I don't have that big a home. What is we going here? Not worth $400 to $800 US. What's not worth $400 to $800 US, Keith? Now I know what it's like not being in a chat.
It's a challenge between you and I, and then try to keep up with them. And you don't want to ignore them because they're part of the group. But
well,
try to keep up with them.
Still, even though I'm on video here, I still feel like I'm part of them more than I am part of any of the whiskey tubers.
Here,
I mean, that's where I started. In a whiskey chat. That's how I met Malted in Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're awesome. So these guys are what makes any of this fun anyway. All of you guys that are out there just know that, right?
It's just hard to keep up with them all.
It is, yes.
So Tom asked me if I get to real quick. He just said, he says, when I heard John Glazer talk, he said he could talk about wood for hours. Simplistically, American oak imparts vanilla and caramel, and French oak imparts spicy characteristics. Well, there's actually an arable quality to American oak, and if you taste Rioja, Tempranillo Rioja from Spain, and you taste the traditional made from American oak versus the more modern with the French oak, you'll get more vanilla on the French oak, but you'll get more of the herbal notes on the American oak. I would kind of disagree. I know I've heard that before, but I kind of disagree with it. You get kind of the bay leaf character off American oak. Anyway.
Eric.
Yes, sir.
Stop geeking out, you wine freak. Sorry, Dan. Yeah. Here, is this what you're talking about? Ardbeg Dark Cove?
That's what I got, yeah.
Yeah. I have this bottle. I haven't opened it yet. I'm waiting for the groove, but that doesn't come to us until the beginning of July or June.
So here's a dark cove I opened. It has that round little stamp there, so it's the same one you've got.
Yes.
And then the regular one does. This has that sort of, I don't know, you want to call it a tan label.
Yeah.
The regular one is black and it's just black.
Thanks, Tom. Yes, show off. I'm not showing off. Okay, I show off. You're lucky Julia's not here. She punched you in the nose. or she'd agree with you. Yeah, he is a show off. What if I'm showing off? What is this one to show off, Keith?
What's that one? What is that?
It's the Galileo.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
This is the one where they sent some whiskey up into space and then put it back in the barrel or whatever.
So what's the ABV on that?
49.
Well, have you ever opened it?
I've had a good chunk of it not here because this is a bottle that's not been opened.
And does it have a vintage on it, like an 89 or 99 or something like that?
Space 1999 is all it says. No actual age statement. No.
Dude, you lucky I don't know where you live.
Oh well. I think I'd just invite you.
Today, a whiskey collector was found mugged and tied up in his house, and all his whiskey was disappeared.
You've never tried to mug somebody from Northern Canada before, have you? I'm not from the North. I'm from Northern Canada. And I work with guys that make me look like a midget.
That's pretty cool, man. Jeez.
What do you do for a living? Keith, I don't work as hard as you, buddy. I don't work as hard as you. And it doesn't matter if I have a great living or not. It doesn't mean I spend money appropriately. Richie, when I bought my Ardbeg today, I saw an Alberta Rye for $35. Is that any good? Which Alberta Rye was it? Was it called Alberta Dark Rye? Did it come in a short, stubby little bottle? Because up here they call that dark. Geez, man, why am I'm missing bottles? But yeah, of course it's good to get. If it's the one I'm thinking, Richie, it's actually It actually has a little sherry in it, but it's made here in Alberta. Dark rye. Yeah. Yeah. Why not grab it? I have a bottle of our version of it. They had to change the name of it down there. Or maybe it's an older bottling before they had to change the name.
This says Dark Horse.
Dark Horse. Yes, Dark Horse. Jason Fisk. It's called Dark Horse. What do we call it up here? Why can't I freaking see it?
Sounds like a good name for a rock and roll band. Dark Horse.
Dark Horse. Might have been done. Geez Louise. But a lot of the stuff we have up here says Canadian whiskey on it. Mother fudgers.
Tomas says missing bottles. Check the recycle bin. Maybe you finished them and don't remember.
Might have happened. Okay, for one more moment, we're gonna go back to Tom R.
I love those recycling bin things that Roy does. Those are hilarious.
That is very, very unique. I think it's a great way to re-review stuff. So Tom R, here are my. First of all, you like unique bottles. This is a tequila it's called Milagro. And this one here isn't as good. This is the Reposado. Is that how they say it?
Reposado. Okay.
Yeah. So but look at the bottle. This is glass blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have Blanco, you have Añejo, and then Reposado.
This one's not too bad. The Añejo is better.
Okay.
Which I must have left them out in the other room.
So that looks like a custom bottle where it's blown inwards. Oh,
yeah.
To represent the agave. That's supposed to be, that's the agave plant on the inside.
But this is aged in wine barrels.
Oh. So that inside, that blown glass inside, that's supposed to represent the agave plant.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's way cool.
It is phenomenal. They're about $100 Canadian up here. The Añejo is not this one. This one's cheaper, right? Okay. I bought that one, but it's the Añejo, and it was in a Mexican restaurant in Canmore. And I
don't drink a lot of I don't drink a lot of tequila, but I had to study them, you know, of course, as I say, for an exam. But I like the Añejo, and I like Reposados that I've had, even the less expensive ones. But yeah, that bottle is way cool. The Guild of Sommeliers did a video on tequila and mezcal, and really, really interesting, the whole production. And so while you're stepping outside, so when I'm interested in the culture behind whiskey, the culture behind wine, and there is a very distinctive culture and history behind tequila that even if I didn't like tequila, I'm interested in the culture behind it. It's really interesting.
I could give this to somebody, maybe not as experienced as you or a guest on the show here in the chat, but I bet you they would wonder if it was tequila. They might tell you it's a whiskey. This is the Añejo.
Yeah.
And it is aged in which kind of wine barrel? Milagro Select Barrel Reserve. Barrel Reserve are refined with delicate vanilla spices, oak produced through, but it doesn't say American oak and French white oak barrels.
Okay.
Doesn't say what kind of wine though.
Yeah, you know, so real fine tequila, you know, and I've had a few. I'm not the most experienced tequila drinker, but it can almost be like a fine cognac or fine Armagnac, really fine spirits, not just something you throw into with a bunch of other junk to make a margarita, you know, really nice stuff.
Yeah. What are they saying in the chat there? Glad you keep them going while I run out there.
I don't know. I lost track. They're talking amongst themselves. Something about a Fino Sherry. Hold on. I got to back it up.
Duncan, that is a large glass hole. Okay. The bottom of this barrel has I can hold it with my finger. It's hollow.
So yeah, I gotta see if I can find that one here. That's really cool looking.
Milagro, they make this is one of their higher end stuff, the Milagro, this one. But there is other Milagros. Just remember the bottle. You'll remember that bottle.
So ballpark figure how much that costs, like in Canada.
The Añejo is $100 Canadian, so
okay,
not too bad. So, Mr. Tom R, here's one of my rums.
Juan Santos.
And Santa Cruz, you also asked about the rums. I know it was you that asked me.
St.
So this is a 21-year-old Juan Santos, but and it's Colombian. 40% ABV, supposedly good. I think that they just do the Solera thing, or they find a supposedly 21-year-old and scoop some syrup out of it and dump it into a barrel. That's my guess. I don't think it'll be as good as this 18-year-old Flor de Cana.
Wow.
Binny's has the Belle Blair 69. Do you have a bottle of that? No, I do not have Belle Blair 69. I have the oldest Belle Blair I have is an 83.
I think, you know what? I don't think you have a whiskey channel. I think you have a whiskey porn channel. People just tune in and drool over all this stuff.
That's my best. You got any 1970s porn music you can play while you're saying that? It's a little creepy that you could go that quick to a 1970s porn song right off the top. Fine, Belle Blair. You know what? I might have seen a 1969 Belle Blair today and kind of skimmed over it while I was looking for something else.
You put the green door. Well, this is the whiskey door.
This is the blue door, the blue room. And this one here, I don't think is very well known. But one of the guys that I work with in the industry I work in, Malted Man Cave, which is in construction. That's as far as we need to go.
Okay. Okay, in construction. So in the mob, that means you're the guy who buries the guy who's gonna talk.
Hey, I install something known as refractory, which is kind of a special kind of cement. You know what I mean?
There you go. There you go.
But when they find your body, they won't find nothing because it's inside a furnace. So you get the picture.
We get the guy a new necktie and some galoshes.
I line the inside of furnaces and refineries.
There you go.
What's my favorite tequila? That one I just held up, the Milagro. Oh, and up there, you'll see a bottle this way, right there, Hornitos. And you know why I like that?
Oh yeah,
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do some wet work. $2,000, Tom R. What do you think? I'm rich or what? This is like a collection from many, many years, gentlemen, not from last night. I didn't buy it in you know. I have somebody told me this. He says, "You have a drinking problem." I was like, "I do." He said, "Yeah, you don't drink enough."
all I can say is I was stressed out when I started the evening, and now I'm just chill.
Awesome, buddy. I'm glad. Yes, the Black Hornitos. It's aged in whiskey barrels. This is a 10-year-old, and I love it. And I've given it to people, and I have told them it's a whiskey, and they couldn't tell the difference.
So is that from Bermuda?
Nope. This is from Dominicano.
Okay.
Pardon me. I might even be wrong on that one. They got so many Spanish words in here.
I know.
I'll tell you. First of all, this one is from the same guy, but here's an interesting story. I was working on a refinery down south, and a guy walks over, and it's about this time of year, so it's kind of spring, but we have some snow still kicking around, and he hands me a toque. If you don't know what a toque is, we wear it in Canada to keep our head warm. You guys from California. In the toque was this bottle. He handed it to me right in front of the freaking president / top engineer of the refinery.
On the job?
On the job. I'm like, "Oh, thanks. You found that? Great." And I just kind of acted like whatever. And I'm like, "Geez, Louis, you're going to get exported back to your country if you ever do that to me again. I tell you, man." Anyway, Tom R. and Santa Cruzan, these are the rums I own. These are the rums I own. Is that a song? Could be.
Yeah, for me, I had to study rums, and that's as much as so I know more in terms of book knowledge than I do experiential knowledge. And there's two different types of knowledge: what you read from a book versus what you know experientially. So I have more book knowledge than I do experiential knowledge. So I only have one rum, and I put this in my eggnog at Christmas, and this is a Ron Zacapa, and this is a Solera 23, and that's it. That's the extent of my
Tom R has about 35 rums.
Wow.
Santa Cruz, and how many do you have?
Wow.
Bell Blair, let's go back to the oldest Bell Blair I have, and I just picked it up because of our mutual friend Whiskey in the Six. That guy there makes me spend money. I tell you, he owes me.
Yeah, I bought one bottle because of him.
Yeah, 1983. I found it in a very dusty store. We call it, hey, buddies. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Because it's owned by East Indians.
Okay.
Hey, buddy. They're funny guys. I love them. But yeah, that's a 1983, 46% ABV. I'm hoping, and it's a first release 1983. I don't know if they did make a second release yet, but it's here.
Let me ask you a question. So, and I've said this before. For me, I'm finding I like the 43s to 46. That's my sweet spot for ABV. Do you have any particular preference in terms of range on ABV?
Yeah, because when you were talking about doing a show, talking about does the higher alcohol content carry more flavor, etc. Right. And I think that there's some, like I was bringing up with Glenfarclas, there are, I think that some would be so much better. So the SMWS, the first bottlings they ever got, the first bottle that started that whole thing, or the first cask, was actually Glenfarclas. So the story behind the man that started the SMWS club many years ago was he helped someone move, and in payment for doing them a favor, they gave him a barrel of whiskey. And he opened it up and he shared it on his kitchen table with his friends and whatnot. And they're like, hey, we should do this all the time. And then it grew into, hey, we should get people to, we can't afford to buy the barrels ourselves. Let's start selling it off. But the first one was Glenfarclas. Now, to be clear, George S. Grant told me that we have never sold a bottle of Glenfarclas to the SMWS.
Okay.
So they're probably buying it through a broker.
Oh, third party.
And that's why the SMWS doesn't put names on it, not just for Glenfarclas, but in general because legally they can't tell people who it is, right?
Right.
So this is one of my first ones. I almost always get the Glenfarclas one, but back to the question about ABV, this is 47.2%, and it is a 27-year-old Glenfarclas. And you cannot tell here, but you can see pretty much right through that bottle.
Yeah.
It is a lot lighter in color than you would normally see a Glenfarclas.
So there's no, you want 50 or what?
Or it's not been aged in a sherry barrel. This is refill hogshead ex-bourbon barrel.
So let me ask you again. So you said that they don't disclose who they're getting the whiskeys from, and yet it's a Glenfarclas? Maybe I missed something there.
They don't tell us who it is.
Okay.
You can go on whiskeyportal.com.
Okay.
And
okay.
they have a whiskey portal section that has the SMWS codes.
Oh.
So somebody else has put it out there, right?
Okay. Okay.
So in Alberta, we are fortunate that we get a monthly outrun. So every month, even down in the US now, you have new owners for the SMWS, new people that have the rights to the SMWS.
Right.
And they have they obviously have bigger problems down there trying to get it into each state because each state has a different law.
Right.
Here you do have some issues. So, for example, in the province of Ontario, the only choice to bring it into that province is through the LCBO. Right. And they will choose what price it can be. So it would be quite a bit higher, I'm assuming. Right. There is some issues that way, and not everywhere you could buy a bottle, but you wouldn't have an opportunity to taste it before. Whereas we get an outrun, and they do 2 tastings for us, and I think they do 2 down in Calgary as well, because they have 2 liquor stores in the province that carry their alcohol, right? Carry the SMWS bottles.
So this is going to sound insane, but I'm totally serious. I have been thinking about running for president for the year 2020.
Right.
And it would be the wine and whiskey party. And the point would be to get certain messages and philosophical points across. Because I'm politically, I'm a libertarian. And of course, I'm not going to spend billions of dollars try to get elected. I don't have the money to compete with everybody else, but if I could accomplish getting a certain message point to basically undo all the damage that was done during the Prohibition era, then I would consider my campaign a success. And some of what you just talked about, what in the challenges we have and all the BS that goes on here and what you can sell in what state and what not, it's sort of part of that. So I'm thinking I would spend 3 months writing out a political philosophy for over 3 months, set up a platform, and then run it via social media. But it would be the Wine and Whiskey Party, and it would essentially be a libertarian approach with the main thrust of trying to get a message across on the issue of wines and whiskeys and the impact it has on our culture. So, even if I wouldn't win, I would try to get a philosophical message across, but it sort of relates to that. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm thinking about it.
Well, Tom R. said he'd vote for you, but I have one question. Are you any good at tweeting?
Oh, yeah, I could tweet 3 o'clock in the morning, say absolutely frank and crazy. And I think about getting me a wig, too. I'd have to get me a wig.
A wig?
Where?
The Ben Riot collection. Where? I don't see no Ben Riot. I can't see any. Can you see any? I think that camera's in the wrong place.
What's on the top of it? It looks like it's wearing a hat.
Oh, it's just part of the box that actually just comes off.
Oh, okay. It looks like it was wearing a Mexican sombrero.
Well, since you have that bottle that you don't want to open yet, but you do want to open, I thought I'd show you that I have quite a few independent bottlings. And as we were talking about the SMWS, I'm a big fan of it. This is an 18-year-old Tamdhu, and I was guaranteed by the store that I like to buy most of my stuff from, one of them in Edmonton here. It's excellent. You will not be disappointed, he said to me, and he's never led me the wrong way.
So I'm going to ask you a question real quick on that one. So first, just answer Tom. Tom asked, who would be my VP running mate? If I could get him to run with me, it would be Jeff Kruth. He's the master sommelier and the head of the Guild of Sommeliers. We differ on a lot of things, but on this, we would agree. So if I could get him to run with me, I would do that. And then the question I have for you is, producer bottlings versus independent bottlings. And my understanding of independent bottlings is they're sort of like in the wine world, what's called a negociant. A negociant, say from Burgundy. So basically in Burgundy, due to the Napoleonic Code, which is the nephew of Bonaparte, is what happens is everyone who was in line to inherit a vineyard got an equal portion. And when the result was a vineyard got chopped up into little bits and pieces because everybody was getting a part. And the problem was you don't have if you got one line from a vineyard, you can't produce enough wine. So negotiants come in and they go, okay, I'm going to take all the grapes from all these owners from the same vineyard and put out this wine. So he's collecting grapes from one vineyard from a multiple owners to produce one wine. And essentially an independent bottler, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is an independent bottler is doing something. He doesn't own the vines. He doesn't, just like a negotiant doesn't. He doesn't own the vineyards. He doesn't own the distillery, but rather he's collecting the way a negotiant does in order to put out a product of a whiskey. Am I understanding that correctly?
I don't know, man. You know a lot more than I do. Holy moly.
sorry. I don't drink the night, and we've been having to drink it a little, so maybe I lost a little.
About halfway through that, my eyes glazed over.
Sorry. My apologies. This is what I think of when I wake up in the middle of the night and have to take a piss.
You're funny.
So, Dummies, I never know. Is that Bart or is that Scott?
That would be Scott.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Scott? How you doing, man? Scott always has a really nice haircut. He's got that nice kind of crew cut military haircut. I appreciate that.
Clean cut man. You betcha. Let me get this right. There we go.
I think his ears must be burning because we were talking about those guys earlier tonight, on my show or your show.
Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of these guys. It's just trash talk. Come on,
It's all love.
Yeah, you guys want to fight? Let's see what's going on here. So, Bart in the don't even start, Jason. Manga jammies. Don't give him any ideas if he's listening. He's like, hey, that would be cool.
I like those shirts, man. I need it. If I can find them in an XXL, I'll get me some. I like those.
Recycling video number 2. Everybody loved that, Scott. That was one of the best ones ever.
Oh yeah, that was, with you doing sort of a spoof on them. That was cool. Actually, that's so. Okay, I'm gonna say something, and no offense, and I'm probably wow. Hey, they're in. Hey, Scott.
What's up, Erik?
Hey,
what's up, Daniel?
Not much. Just staying out of trouble. Staying up way too late because I got to work tomorrow. But
so
yeah, you're up late then.
I don't have to. Hey, you got the same. Okay, so you have an old particular Glengoyne 20, and then you got a Blair Atoll. I got
picked them up today.
Awesome. And so I have a Highland Park 20 here. So I'm gonna say something, Scott, and I'm probably like a lot of others. So when I first saw you guys and watched your videos, I thought these guys are a couple yokels. What a couple dorks. And I moved on. And then I came back and I watched you guys again, and I go, these guys are freaking awesome. I love these guys. I could get drunk with these guys. I want to party with these dudes. And then I fell in love with you. And
thanks.
Sort of a common experience where people are like, what the hell? But then it's the people that I found. Because I approach you seriously, and if I approach you seriously, then I'm going to be turned off. But if I find you as a couple guys that are just cool and just loving it and more about the heart than the brain, then I love you guys.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I know this is the first time that I've got to talk one-on-one or in person with Erik. So good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. So what are you pouring in that bottle there? An old particular?
Yeah, I picked up the Glengoyne 20 and the Blair Atoll 20. Both of them matured in or refill hogsheads.
Yeah.
I was disappointed the Glengoyne didn't have a sherry influence. I was hoping it did. It's still delicious, but what surprised me was the Blair Atoll is better. I figured the Glengoyne would be better.
I think that's the magical thing about independent bottlings, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it is, you could be taking a big risk, but I very seldom have been disappointed by an independent.
They're both still good. I was disappointed the Glengoyne didn't have a sherry influence to it. It's 51.5%. That might be all of the old particulars because I know the Blair Atoll is 51.5% as well.
Yeah, mine's 53.1.
Oh, there you go.
So I got a question for you. So I mean, I'm constantly about experimenting, trying, exploring new things. But if I find something I really like, man, I got to get some more of that. And if something is independent, then do you have that trustworthiness that, hey, I can go back and get some more of that? Or are you kind of screwed? It's gone.
Well, who you asking?
Either one of you. I mean, you guys both know far more than I do.
Go ahead.
No, I think it depends on the bottling itself. Most stores around here now, my store that I buy a lot from, they got with me and they said, "Hey, here's a list of some old particulars we can get. Do you want any of them?" So I looked at their list. I ordered these two. They got them for me. Now most stores though will get. I've seen a lot of the signatory releases in the Gordon and MacPhail's. Most stores still seem to get at least 2 or 3 bottles of them. So if you wanted to go back and get another, you probably could.
So within how like with what, 3 months, 2 months, 6 months? What's your time period? How soon do you need to hurry up, make a decision, pull the trigger?
I'll tell you, the independent bottlers here will sit on the shelves for all. Most people don't know about them.
Right.
So you're usually pretty safe.
Okay.
I can tell you 2 that are on the shelves: the Gordon MacPhail Linkwood and the Mortlock, both 15-year-olds. They're both in a couple of stores here, and they sit. I'm trying to think of what else I've seen off the top of my head. There's a couple of exclusive casks,
right?
But
so this one here, I paid $200, and I bought this one because I had tried some others from the same. So this is a cask that was bought by K&L, which is, they got 3 stores here in California. And I bought this because I had tried other bottlings at a friend's house that my jaw just hit the floor, you know. But I could see myself just going, every time you get something, just send it to me, man, because I freaking want it. And I'm afraid of it disappearing and not being able to get it. I just really, really love this whiskey.
So, as an example, I'm a member of the SMWSs. I think Scott is too.
Right.
And the beauty about those is that's it. You know, that bottle I just had, or here's an example. It's a G8.3. It's a 23-year-old. It is a single grain. That's what the G stands for. And it has 250 bottles. So remember when we were talking earlier about all whiskey is rare?
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee if you did what Ralphie did with that Johnny Walker and found a bottle that was from 25 years ago, it might resemble what is made today in some ways. And a man of your experience doing the sommelier studies and so forth, you're going to notice some similarities. Other people might, yeah, it's you know, there's some people like, oh, it's just whiskey.
Right.
You know, it all tastes the same. It burns all the way through. But in the long run, they're all rare. They all have a rarity about them, right?
Yeah, the wines are sort of in the same category, except for there's certain ones that are the dream team that you kind of have in your mind. And what, you know, DRC out of Burgundy, you know, comes to my mind. Certain first grows, you know, kind of my mind. So the other question I have is, in terms of doing a review or a videoer, let me ask you a question: is this? So this has been an offline discussion. So if you're going to review something, do you want to review something only if your viewers can then go out and buy it? Or if you review something that's so hard to get or so expensive, they're never going to buy it, and therefore you're just pissing them off because you're making them envious, or you're just showing off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think it depends on the bottling itself. If it's a new release, take for example the Ardbeg Dark Cove Committee release, which you went out and bought after our peach
absolutely. I bought it because of you guys. They should send you a check.
Have you? And you've opened it, haven't you?
I opened it I did a 3-day review of it just to see how it opened over 3 days. Yeah, I love it.
Now, I mean, look at that one. You know, pretty rare. The Ardbeg Grooves being the new one, something like that. Yeah, I think it's worthy to get a review up. Get a bottle of it. Get a review up. Now, say it's a 1975 Macallan. I'm just making that up. I don't even know if that's rare.
Right.
A 50-year-old 75 Macallan that you got at auction. Yeah, I mean, there's only a very small bit of your audience that's even going to be interested in that.
Right.
To see what your thoughts are.
Right.
So here's an example. You'll be able to get Millstone, but you won't be able to get this bottle unless you came up here because it is an exclusive to this liquor store. They bought the entire barrel. And as John Post just mentioned to you, Eric, that he will only watch reviews of bottles I can find, which I'm sure there's other guys out there that would probably like to know what something's like. If I did a review of this, in my opinion, it would be a review of this particular spirit. And I like the way Scott and Bart do things where they don't do the research. It's just them and the bottle.
Right.
But if you're going to do a review of something that is not readily available, this distillery, though, is still available. You would focus on the distillery. This distillery from Holland makes over 600 different kinds of spirits.
Wow.
So there are ways, I think, and I'm new to this, way newer than you are. I don't even have the technical background you have, that I think you can approach it different ways, right?
So I guess, it's about a philosophy and your attitude towards it. I mean, I drive a real nice Toyota pickup truck, 4-door, got a lift, got nice tires. But I like looking at Lamborghinis and Ferraris and cars that I wouldn't want to pay the insurance on them, let alone put the gas in them. They're so expensive. But I like looking at them. I like hearing about them. I like they can go to 0 to 60 in 0.5 seconds or whatever. And I think my attitude is I like to hear about whiskeys. Yeah, I will never taste that, or wines. I won't ever taste that. But I'm still like to hear about them.
But I mean, obviously, you're driving that truck because you're making up for something. and I live in truck country, man. So So,
Well, everybody here drives like these little Prius, little teeny weeny cars. I like something I can just run them over with it.
I'll tell you though, just watching social media from Twitter or Instagram or even YouTube, and just seeing what other reviewers are reviewing. I can go into the store and they get in a new bottle, and if you're watching Twitter and Instagram, you kind of know what the feelings are on that bottle, and kind of what I consider a return on investment. If I spend $50 on this very little known bottle that no one knows about, or no one's tweeting about, no one's Instagramming about, nobody knows about, or I can buy the new release of Elijah Craig, or the new Macallan. I'm going to take the Elijah Craig or the Macallan for the brand name and it being a new release, and just know that it's going to return more and more people are going to want to watch it.
Right. Yeah, and I'll give an example. So over this last year, like, I reviewed some insanely expensive wines. Some was on my birthday, some was with a friend, some were on a bucket list with a friend of mine. And we're talking wines that are $600, $700, $800.
Ooh.
But I got some really negative feedback from some sommeliers. These were part of my studies of Australia or France or whatever. And I felt bad on one side because I know these guys have worked their freaking asses off in the wine world, and they don't get paid enough, and they can't afford these things. And I felt bad. I would love to invite them all over to my house to taste these things. But on the other hand, it's like, if you're going to be into surfing, there are certain, oceans, certain beaches you want to surf. If you're going to be in mountain biking, there's certain mountains you want to mountain bike. If you're going to skiing, there's certain mountains you want to ski. And the same, if you're into wine or whiskey, there's certain whiskeys and wines you want to have. And I review them. I don't want to make anybody jealous. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. But on the other hand, I kind of understand where they're coming from. They get kind of pissed off. Hey, look, I'm working in the freaking industry, and I can't even afford this, and you're just showing off. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's people like that. But I want to point out something John Post put here. He says he ended up buying most of the bottles he buys are rated in the 90s by more than one reviewer. Now, John, is that because you think that's the true value? And the next question is to Scott here, is do you not think that, and you've reviewed a lot more whiskeys, that there are some whiskeys that would not be rated in the 90s, but it would still be sad to miss an opportunity to try one, even if it's not, in your opinion, a 90, because it really comes down to opinion. Are you eating candy?
Ice. It's a hobby.
So did you get my question, or did I?
Was he posing that to us, or was he posing it to John?
Well, John, I'd like to see him put something in the comment, but to you as well, Scott.
I think there's a couple of factors that come in. If something gets a 80, even a 87, 88, and you got to learn your different reviewer scorings.
Sure.
Mine, before I open this bottle, it's an 85. I think every bottle to me starts about an 85, and it either goes up or it goes down from there.
And I'm just now learning that.
Yeah. So, but say you buy a 10-year-old single malt that's sitting there on the shelf and it's $30, and and you're really impressed by it. It's got some 10-year-old characteristics. It's not a 21-year-old Glendronach, but it's pretty good. And you're like, for a $30 10-year-old, I'm giving this a 89. I think that's worth picking up and trying. Yeah. Even though it didn't hit that 90 mark, what I'm saying? You got to, there's kind of different expectations.
Quality price ratio.
What's that, Eric?
The quality, so a QPR, quality price ratio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's something in marketing here. So you guys have had wives, I don't. But if the economy goes down, a woman will still go buy makeup. She may not be able to afford a wardrobe at a time. And it's the same as we'll still go out and eat with your families. If you can't afford to go to a steak restaurant, you'll go to a fast food restaurant. And I think the same thing can happen with whiskey, where you'll go ahead and get a whiskey that's, you know, if you can't afford one, I still end up buying something when I go into a store. If it might not be a $300 bottle, it might be only $100 bottle or whatever, right?
Sure.
It depends. I mean, maybe that's because I have a buying addiction, but that's another topic.
I get the perspective I was thinking of it more in terms of a reviewer, not in terms of a buyer, is, and I guess it comes down to what your own particular motive is. So my motive in everything I do at this point in this juncture is study. I'm just studying and learning, and sharing my journey and studying. But I could see also how some people, they would review impossible to find, expensive things, insane collections that everybody drools over in order to show off. Hey, look what I got. Sort of like there was that TV show, you know, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I mean, what the hell was that? That was not about, hey, here's what you can go out and buy. It was about, here's how the rich people live. Now you drool because you MFers can't afford this. That was what that show was about. And it was about having a show that's based on people's envy and invoking and provoking people's envy. And that's what I kind of want to avoid.
Yeah, so you're gonna run into that here too, though. I mean, we have some people that'll make a comment about, you know, all that guy does is high end and expensive whiskeys, and this guy does this and that. Right. I have a good collection. Richie Z on our website or on our chat here, he has a good collection. I've never seen it. Santa Cruzan does. I think he's got some stuff that I would be very envious of. But jealous is a better word, and I think there's different types of jealousy, right? There's good jealousy and bad jealousy. It doesn't mean I want to go down to Bart's house and bust in the door and steal all his peated whiskey.
I do have his grid coordinates, so I'm working on it.
We have some questions here, guys. Tom R, yes, I have the Red Bull 12, and I also have, I have their Kylo, is it called? The Kylo, which is an 8-year-old. It's not an NAS. They call it I'm sure it's an 8-year-old.
Black Bull.
So this is 50%. And if I'm still believing what I've read in the past, it is 50% grain and 50% malt on this one. And I think it is on the 12-year-old. On the 40-year-old, it's a bit of a mixture, a smaller amount. So I love this stuff. And my first master class I ever went to was with Peter Curry. He's a Scotsman, but lives in California. And he's very experienced and very knowledgeable, primarily because of working with an independent bottler. And a lot of the marketing stuff that I don't like is because of being in his tasting and seeing some of the things that, or hearing some of the things he said, you know, about when you hear this about it being aged by the salty brine of the sea. He's like, yeah, but it's also sitting in a warehouse beside the railway, taking in all the diesel smell. So there's a little bit of a balance in certain things that, of course, we don't know. So they market it to us.
How come in all your shelves there, Throttle, you got up on the top of the shelves behind you, there's a Tequila.
Tequila. Yeah, that's the one you reviewed.
Yeah.
The Hornito.
Hornito is the bourbon barrel aged tequila. It's actually, well, I got mine for like $14. It was on clearance, and it's actually pretty decent. We're
happy to get it at $30 down here.
Mm-hmm.
That's Canadian, and that pays for the free healthcare. Free? You know what I mean? Someone's got to pay for it. The other tequila, and it's not whiskey aged. We were talking about this earlier. Is Milagro,
mm-hmm.
And this is the Añejo, and it's aged in.
What did you call me?
Huh? Yeah.
You call me an a-hole.
You're an a-hole. You've been called worse, trust me.
Oh yeah, particularly by my drone instructors.
Yeah, and I bought this. We were talking about this. I think it was Keith, the Malted Man Cave, brought up something. Not about this.
Oh wow.
Do you, Bart? Bart? Here I go again, Scott. Since the beginning, even before I talked to you, I used to get you guys mixed up. Sorry. Did you guys review this?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Silver?
This is High West Silver, or OMG, they call it. Oh my God, pure rye.
Is that without it? Because it's completely clear, so that means they didn't put it in a barrel?
No, this is the trick they have. For it to be legally called whiskey in that state, I believe, if I'm remembering right, all it has to do is touch oak. So it comes out and goes into an oak barrel and straight into bottling.
So it's really a white dog.
It is really a white dog that has touched some oak barrels, but it's a rye mash. And this is an older one, and I had to grab it because it's... And I think that little trawl... Oh, no, there it is. I'm just going to say the little cashier. I thought she took the tag off. But this is one of their older bottlings before they started making their own stuff.
Well, I got a question about that one. So do they have something like that that then also spends more time in oak, or is that something unique on its own? Do you know?
This might have been the beginning of their own, making their own spirit before they were sourcing it all, right?
Right. Because the reason why I ask is, so for example, I have, so in my studies, so I'm about always, I want to know, so I smell and taste the dirt in a vineyard. I look and smell and taste the vines. I smell the air. I feel the grapevines. I fondle the grapes. I taste the grapes. I taste the seeds.
I'm glad you said grapes right there for what you fondle.
I was getting a little creeped out there.
Yes. I taste it after it's been pressed. I taste it in the barrel. I taste it in the tank. I taste it when it's been first. I mean, so I understand the whole from one end to the other. I taste it when it's 6 months, 1 year, 4 years, 5 years. So okay, so same thing with whiskey. So this is a bottle of new make from Maker's Mark, and I got to taste new make at Jim Beam and then Maker's Mark, and I'm hoping and praying I get to do the same thing in Scotland because I want to know what does this contribute to the overall profile. You know what I mean? So I want to taste. I'm going to take a little lick of the barrel and know everything contributes. And so that in the end, when I retro-engineer it, I know what's doing what. And that was sort of related to my recent PX studies. So my question would be about that one is, okay, this is one that, quote unquote, touched the oak. Do they have a next step where, okay, this touched it for a little longer? And you could be able to, in your mind, okay, this is what it's like, essentially a new make, versus this is what it's like when it's spent more time in oak. Do you happen to know about that?
Scott or me?
I don't know anything about their white dog. I doubt that they have that, Eric. It's probably the white dog or any of their aged expressions.
Okay.
Santa Cruz and says set up a tour. So Eric, I'm gonna give you something that I think might help you out, and I'm not by any means as educated and experienced in some areas that you are, but there's a local guy here that's what he does. He works in a liquor store. He's the manager of it, and he does a lot of tastings and so on. Right. And he's on social media all the time, partially because of work. But he announced to us that he was taking a break from social media because he'd be off work and no one would leave him alone. He'd have to constantly was getting asked questions about whiskey.
Right. Right.
And we had a conversation about taking notes and writing down and what do you get out of this and so forth. And he brought up a good point to me. And he's a younger fella, but he's been doing this for quite a while, and he's very studious, much like yourself. And he went, you know what? I'm tired of it. He says, I just want to be in the moment and just be with the whiskey and not really overanalyze it.
That's my problem.
I enjoy it. Yeah. And you know, I'm not trying to embarrass you or say anything in front, but sometimes just relax, man. Just back and take it.
Yo, dude. Yeah, I need to work in a little herbage in between my drams.
Yeah, there you go. That might help. Come up to Canada. It's free. Or not free. It's going to be more expensive than whiskey at some point. But
well, I'm more like that. I have difficulty sleeping at nights because I've turned my brain off. But when I'm listening to music, I'm drinking a dram, I'm more contemplative in that way, or reading a book, then I'm more that way.
Yeah, I understand that, buddy. So it's that's me. I'm still learning things too. When I watch all of you guys do stuff, I'm like, how am I going to do a review like that? You know what? I said this to the Quig when he was on my show last weekend. When he's doing one of his recorded videos and you watch him, I think that's what I picture, Scott, particularly, and maybe, well, any of the guys that go back to their notes while they're giving us their recorded video. Food Quig doesn't do that. He's there and he leans back and he's like, oh, I'm getting some mint. No, it's eucalyptus. It's more like, or whatever it is. And I think that is one of the reasons that I'll watch his reviews. They're kind of short and sweet, but he actually, at that time, when he's really thinking about it, he's actually just there for that moment.
He's more of a Buddhist. He's more of a Buddhist approach to whiskey versus a Temiscan, Franciscan Temiscan.
Yeah. He's just Foodquig, and I'm not going to swear right now, but Foodquig doesn't give a you know what. He is just who he is, and that's the way it goes.
Right.
And I think, Scott, that might have been something that was being brought up in one of your last live shows, is that, we hear a lot of people that are just repeating what they've heard or read on a box or watched in a last review, because I think you guys said that sometimes you try to avoid watching any reviews on something that you're about to review. Am I right?
No, it kind of depends. I will tell you, in the early days and when we first started, if I went out and bought this bottle, I'd get home from the store and I would pull up other reviews and see what people were getting. And then I'd go through and see if I was getting that as well. And I don't ever do that anymore. I mean, I don't have to look up notes. I go, I get what I get. I put it down. And then maybe most of the time I still don't check other reviewers or see what other people are getting. Once in a while, if it's not like meeting expectations, or maybe there's some note there that's a little off, maybe I can't quite pin down, then I might look up and just see what other people are getting, or maybe see if they can help me figure out what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
And scores though, I've noticed, our scores we're pretty consistent with most other reviewers as well. I'm just trying to, anything, you score it an 85. If we think it's kind of mediocre, to me, mediocre is 85, maybe 83. But if we score something that way and I go look, it's pretty consistent. Other people are scoring it kind of mediocre, in their range. If we think something is outstanding, we go look and see, and there's a lot of other people that are giving it the same marks.
Right.
Richie B is asking me if everybody wants to know if I'm going to open up certain bottles. Richie, yeah, I think I will one day. And he's talking about the Black Bull 40 that I own, which I'm glad I found it. It's a second release, or no, pardon me, a third release. You guys did the Black Bull, did you, Scott?
We haven't had any Black Bull.
Oh, it's very unique. I like it. I mean, it's obviously a blend, but I think it's done very, very well.
I think one of the things I have you guys, this is a unique opportunity for me because, I've been into wine for 20 years, but I've only been doing whiskeys for 2. You guys have been in it far longer than I have. So I have this unique opportunity to sort of, drain your brains and get as much out of you as I can and learn from you guys a lot. And I learned from you a lot, not only in terms of about whiskeys, but personally and socially and so forth. So that's probably why I'm asking so many questions, just because I've got a lot to ask. I mean, I'm looking at everything here and I'm like, if you've tasted every one of those, you're like 1,000 times much more experienced than I am in any of this.
Well, I don't know if I am, but if anybody ever asks me about Scotch Test Dummies, I always try to get them to watch some older videos in the beginning so that they can see the evolution of the two guys together, and not their characters themselves, but their actual original tasting notes and reviews versus their actual what they do now. And the way
Bart is an original character. Yeah.
He is. Well, we won't bring up Manja Church or board games.
I like to see what's edited out. What doesn't get on air? That's what
we don't edit. We don't edit very much out. We sit down, we hit record, we go. And we just got asked. Someone asked me. They said, "Is your stuff scripted? Do you write it out?" I'm like, "Oh no, there's no script. I mean, it's all you sit down, you hit record, and you go." Now, our intros, we might shoot 1 or 2 or 3, kind of depending, then pick the best. Even most of the time, though, we'll shoot one intro. But after that, I mean, the review is pretty much go. I mean, there sometimes if Bart is droning on and on and on, or if he's repeating himself, I edit some of that out. But
right,
that's how Julia talks about me.
So let me ask you a question. I know this is awesome. I'm really happy now, not only because I'm drinking some whiskey, but because I get to hang out with you guys. So let me ask you a question, Scott. So I'm a Marine, and I work a lot with former veterans. And when I meet a former Marine, even if we've never worked together or met each other, it's as if we're related. We're blood. We're kin. And then, so my dad was in the Army. My brother was in the Air Force. My grandfather, a Navy veteran, World War II. My grandfather had 4 Silver Stars, and he was very quiet about his experiences until just before he died. And all of a sudden I found out this dude's a freaking war hero, and I never knew it. Anyway, so is part of your kinship, I'm just kind of, and interaction, does being a veteran sort of play into that? You think common experiences or background in that?
With me and Bart?
Yeah.
Just I think just the fact that we've been friends for over 20 years.
Wow.
And really just the commonalities, not the commonalities, but just kind of how we have always fed off of each other and just gotten people's interest.
Right. And yet you're very different.
Yeah.
Because if you guys were the same, you'd be boring.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's that's the unique part about the whole thing. Bart, what were you talking about behind me here? Or Bart, geez, I gotta stop doing that. I should every time I do that, I have to be punished somehow. Like
we need shock therapy or something.
Or I have to send you a dram of something I don't want to open.
I expect I've talked to Daniel several times, and he always calls me Bart.
I'm gonna fix that one day. Don't worry.
As long as you just spell my name with a K, I'm fine.
I spell it with a C, but I'll go Erik with a K.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So now, what was Erik? What was your thoughts on the Dark Cove after watching the video, seeing that you order some bottles and what? And Daniel, have you had it? What do you think?
So let me go first. So first of all, the fact that Bart was just going bananas over this thing, and he's a Pete dude, and that's his forte and his background. Then I got to check this out. And I did a 3-day review, an uncorking, and then a formal review 24 hours later. And it wasn't just 24 hours later. I left it open in the glass with just a piece of a paper over it, just to keep the bugs out. And then I tried it again live the next day, so to see how it evolved in the glass. And then after I reviewed it over 3 different times, over 3 different days, I then watched you guys again, and then sort of compared my impressions with it with your impressions. I kind of the one thing I regretted was I wish I could sit down with you guys and do it. That because but when I was watching you guys, I was kind of like, okay, now I know what the hell they're talking about. And I really sort of get it. But oh yeah, so I'm an Ardbeg fan to begin with, but yeah, it's orgasmic. I really like that one.
Erik, I don't think Scott could handle 2 guys like Bart and you at one time. Doing a tasting.
I wouldn't want to be in the middle.
No, I needed it. For me, I tried it at the liquor store, and I enjoyed it, so I bought a bottle. That's how far I analyzed it. I'm sorry.
I've got a bottle too, but I haven't cracked it open. We've been drinking on. Bart's got 2 or 3 of the committee releases, so we've been drinking his.
I have 2 of what one was it that I just showed? The Dark Cove, and I have one of what was the one before the Dark Cove?
Well, there's a Gorfrecken is fairly close.
The Kelpie, and I think actually now because so many people didn't come to our committee store, they are actually selling the committee release to non-committee members because they have no choice. So there's this one I showed.
Oh, the Galileo, yeah.
Galileo. And then
got a moose, do the fantangos.
The Corvecchian.
The ball of lightning. Sorry.
No, you're not.
Yeah, the Kelpie was last year's.
Okay, sorry.
Was it?
Yeah, the groove. So you had the grooves was early 18, 17 would have been Kelpie, and then Dark Cove was 16.
We haven't got our grooves up here yet. I don't think we'll get it till June or July.
Yeah, I haven't had that one either.
I
So
don't know.
here's the funny thing is, but Ardbeg is still my favorite because if my house burned down, I could still go out and get a 10. I can't go out and get a Dark Cove. Dark Cove is no good to me if I can't go out and get it, but I can go and get a 10. And that's freaking fantastic.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, there's a lot of the SMWSs that I don't buy them all,
Right.
but I'm glad I got to try it.
Right.
You know, a lot of the guys, the gentleman that I was mentioning about just being in the moment with, Dave, he's like, hey, you want to try something? And he goes back into their cabinet in their conference room and brings out something that I'm like, holy crap. Can I buy a bottle? He's like, no. Somebody just gave it to us. It's a sample, right?
Right.
So, you know what? At least I got to try it. I didn't take notes. I just have to remember the moment.
You know what's funny? Not only about turns out being in the moment, and one of the problems if you're studying for exam, you get so stressed out. You're like, I fucking hate this. I'm sorry for cussing. I hate. I don't want to take any more damn exams, and so you start to hate the very thing you're supposed to be loving that you're studying, and you get burnt out on it. And so I look forward to. I can taste this, drink this for the pure enjoyment, without studying, reviewing it, or having to be examined on it.
And
the room.
Go ahead, Bart. Bart on the show.
See, I told you he's going to do it at least twice.
And this is my second dram. I got to work in the morning, so I'm taking it easy.
I had so this is our Ardbeg grooves. The ball is at Bart's because we did the Pete Strikes Back shootout, which starts tomorrow, by the way. Yes. So I poured myself a 4-ounce bottle of it because I think that's probably the last 4 ounces of it I'll ever get to see.
I was just going to say you'll never see the rest of that.
So I just poured a little bit since we were talking about it.
So is there any plans or anything you can tell us about your show besides what we already know?
Now there's not too much going on. We finished filming the Pete Strikes Back. That airs the next 5 episodes. We'll probably shoot a couple normal reviews in there, and then we'll get on to we'll take the best 8 from the Pete Strikes Back. We're going to pair them up with the best 8 from the March Pete Madness for another 16 bottle shootout to see. It'll be the best against the best. And I'm hoping that Ardbeg Dark Cove, which is the one I picked out from the March Pete Madness, I'm kind of hoping that it continues its stride and rises to the top of all 16. So, and then after that, we'll start working on 12 Hours of Boom, which I think we're looking at July 7th for that. And that's about it.
That's the day after my birthday.
There you go.
That's about it. And then that's it. Final episode. Never see you guys again.
Nope. Then just be normal. Continue on.
You guys are going to be normal.
Well, normal can be.
Normal.
Watch our quick hitters.
Yes.
Go watch my quick hitter and go watch Bart's quick hitter.
I don't want to get bored.
So I sent Scott. a little. So I'm kind of insane. You guys kind of get to know me. I'm not only studying that, but I'm sort of a little OCD and a little bit of ADA or whatever else.
I'm just going to come down there and give you a good North American whooping.
Yeah, I know that. Well, my dad already tried that. It didn't work, so I went off to the unicorn.
Come up here and I'll bury you in a snowbank with just your head sticking out. So you don't want.
So I sent Scott a video that I made in the middle of the night. I'm serious enough. 2:00 in the morning, I get up to take a wee. I take a piss, and I get this idea in my head for a video, and I can't go back to sleep until I do it. So 2:00 in the morning, I got to finish this video before I can go back to sleep. So I made this video, and then I sent a text message to Scott and just see if he wanted to use it. And they already had other plans. But I had this idea for the Pete Wars video. So I made it and I sent it to him, and I know it had some copyright issues regarding the music and so forth. But I'm looking forward to see what you guys come up with.
It's actually pretty similar to ours. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've gotten a whole thing here from our comments that no board games we're getting. I'm like, hey, I don't do board games. How about motorcycles? I might throw a motorcycle in there too. I want to see how a couple of my motorcycles run on whiskey.
Just don't be driving down the road on your motorcycle reviewing the whiskey.
No, the law says I can't drink the whiskey. It doesn't say the motorcycle can't. I got some stuff here, Eric, and Rob, Whiskey and the Sis asked me about some of my collection. I have something that I'm pretty sure the motorcycle could run on. And it's talking about White Dog. This is Brookladdy's X4.
Okay. Wow.
So you like frosty bottles. This is distilled 4 times, 8 years of age, obviously, to be a whiskey.
Distilled 4 times?
Quadruple distilled, yep.
Okay.
And it's 66% ABV. 63.5, pardon me.
Well, when's that from? I've never even seen that.
Before you were probably doing reviews, I guess.
Yeah. Is that when Wolverine was the distiller or something like that?
Wolverine at yes, he's one of the X-Men. Quadruple distilled, 3 years of age.
Wow.
I wish I had this one when I was getting autographs from Jim McEwen.
Seriously, I think you can make a whiskey porn channel. And what you just show us on the guys just watch themselves watching. Look at these bottles. This is insane.
You might have missed that, Bart. We got him to
there's once.
That's probably a bunch.
Well, I said you're going to do it 2 more times.
Okay, then I'll get it over. Scott, for Scott's sake. Okay, it's in my head now. In the beginning of the show here, what were we talking about? And
at least you don't call me Swami.
I just tell you Erik with a C now. Where did it come from? It came from Brookladdy, if that's the question. Spirit safe. Ben Nivis. I have a hard time keeping up with stuff but board games. So White Dog, back to another White Dog, and I think that I'm going to use this in a review. Well, it's not really White Dog, but it's only 2 years old.
Oh yeah, they had the famous waxing on there.
Maker's Mark 2-year-old for bartenders only. It says not allowed to give it away.
I don't know if you know this, but if you visit the distillery, you get to hand dip your own bottle. So I actually dipped this one.
Did you?
Yeah, and when I have a video of my visit and my trip there. So they, they got all the lawyers and whatever standing by, so you don't burn yourself, and you get to put on the gloves and everything. But so I actually get to hand and dip this one, as well as the Maker's Mark. I get to hand dip this one as well. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a touristy thing, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I think that would be cool. Good night, Whiskey Frontier. Thank you for joining us. Don't work too hard. So, what do we got? You'll have to talk so everybody can see the sign. I can see it.
I figured everybody else, maybe they'd already seen it. Yeah, just in case.
I actually am a little embarrassed here, but yeah. Even before, I've said this to you before when we were talking, that I actually had to go back in your videos and see your introduction. I'm like, which one is who again?
Quick question. So the Waite family's been here for 400 years. We go back to Wales. Go back 11 generations. My great grandfather came here. But on my mother's brother's wife's side of the family is Scottish. So I have a cousin named Scott. His side of the family is from Scotland. He plays the bagpipes, the whole 9 yards. His grandfather on that side of the family is from Scotland. So I'm just curious. So your name's Scott, but what's do you have a particular ethnic or national background?
Mostly German.
Okay. Deutschland.
Yeah.
Deutschland über alles.
Yeah. Majority of grandparents, great grandparents all migrated over from Germany. Okay. There's a lot of German small towns in Kansas that Germans migrated to, and that's where my great grandparents met.
Prerequisite to live in Wichita, isn't it?
No, not since '62.
Oh, okay. I'm driving out to a refinery every day, and there's a place out there. I did some brickwork on a guy's house. It's called Bruderheim.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you'll still see lots of little tiny old homes that are actually made all out of brick or stone, right?
Okay.
Built by the old Germans when they first came and started farming.
Well, my mom's from Fort Scott, Kansas, which is about 2 to 3 hours east of where Scott's from. And I've got a lot of second, third, fourth, whatever cousins back there. My grandparents are back there. And one of these days, I've been in the neighborhood a couple of times on business trips, but one of these days I want to get back out there and see where my grandparents are buried and all my cousins are buried and so forth. So one of these days I got to drop in on you out there.
So I kind of find it weird that we always want to go back and find out where our dead relatives are buried. Is it not? Where do we get that from? Why do we?
Actually, I got to say I don't. I really don't care.
No. Some of my relatives were sleeves. Yeah.
Yeah, yet I don't. It doesn't. I really don't. It doesn't. I have no interest in that.
I didn't either, but within a 5-year period, I buried my father, then my wife, then my mother, then my oldest brother, my grandmother, and my last aunt. And so all my relatives are like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. They're all gone. And it wasn't until then, and now everybody and everything that I kept the family traditions with, holidays, Christmas, it's all gone. And I don't know why. I mean, all of a sudden now I'm interested, but I wasn't before. But now I'm interested.
Yeah.
You know.
That could happen to me at some point. But
sure.
Whiskey Chat is talking about.
I don't want to get too serious.
They're picking up Deanston. I think Richie said that he tried to order Deanston cognac, and I think that some are discussing the fact that that might not have actually existed. They sent him a Deanston 18 instead of the Deanston cognac.
Yeah, that's what he said. He ordered the cognac finished one and got the regular release, but I don't know who that was from. I didn't see what store. Where they were talking from.
Is that the Deanston with a cognac finished barrel?
Yeah,
it might not exist. Yeah, and he said he ordered it online. Where did you? Glendale, California. Remedy Liquor.
Okay.
Is that? Yeah. All way out of my knowledge of the area, right?
Hey, Daniel, I do have to show you. I don't know if you got this one.
Oh, you're a dirty, rotten snake. I know it right now.
What? Erik might be able to get this one still if they have any left. A limited edition compass box for Bounty Hunter wines.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I saw those pictures. Okay.
They're in California.
And it's enclosed in glass or plastic?
Well, this is one of the compass box acrylic cases I've had from other releases.
Okay.
Hedonism, the Muse that is coming out, it will be in these acrylic cases. But this was done Bounty Hunter wine in, I think they're in Napa or somewhere right in that area. But they worked with John Glazer. There's only 369 bottles of this.
Wow.
And I forget somewhere they had what the makeup was of it, and it was pretty much. I don't even remember. I don't want to misspeak on what it was. Yeah. Your last vatted malt.
I don't have anything to compete with that. That's the only trump card I got.
Wow, jeez. Wow.
But your shelves would be screwed up with this bottle.
The only thing I have in comparison are wines, and you guys would be like, I don't give a shit.
You're like, yeah, who cares?
I don't know what the hell that is. I have killer wines, but not so much in whiskeys.
Erik, no one wants to drink your Kool-Aid, man.
I know.
This bottle, for some unknown reason, is like that much taller than the other bottles.
Really?
Yeah, it's just slightly taller. Or the box is something's different about the box. I don't know.
That was one of the earlier compass boxes though too.
It's a Freudian penal entry thing.
I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, there's a slight height difference. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Different bottle. I don't know if I'll ever open that one. Hey, here's something that you might be interested to know about, and I need to find out more, and I think I'm going to have Erik or Travis on. I keep turning things around and I can't find stuff anymore. It's an old Perth.
Perth?
21-year-old old Perth. It's a blend. Where do I have it? I just looking at it. That drives me nuts. I'm getting so old.
Okay.
Anyway, oh, here it is. It's on the bottom shelf.
Well, I got to switch to something peated. I had the Compass. I had this HP, and I'm going to go something a little heavier.
I think I'm going to have Travis on from Draft for Fams because he represents these guys. And this here is a blend, but it is supposed to be exclusive for some military group in the UK.
Well, I know Travis, if you watch a lot of the Whiskey Tuber live streams, Travis that tunes in, he just got a couple of there's a 13-year-old old Perth that they just released. And I think it was all Highland Park and Macallan, basically, is what made it up.
Well, I think that's what a lot of this is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think it's a little different. I'm going to get the full proper story on him. And I think I'll have him do an interview, and maybe we'll do something more with Drams for Fams for him. So,
what's Erik pulling out? A Lagavulin?
Yeah, Lagavulin 16.
That stuff's no good.
Probably one of the most reviewed whiskeys on the planet.
Well, a good whiskey and for good cause. It gets good views. It's one of our highest viewed videos.
I want something heated now. Why? What's going on there, Spirit Safe?
Did he mean heated or peated? I bet his autocorrect kicked in and it's supposed to be peated.
So,
something's going on because his wife fell asleep on the couch and he's, I don't know, sneaking a bottle out of her hands or sneaking one into her hand.
So I know some of the Scotch for Dummies guys have been to Scotland. Have either of you been to Scotland yet?
No.
And if Julia lets me, I'll go. They have in October, the one liquor store here has a group going.
Right.
And it's I think it's under $5,000, and you're going to go to at least 5 different distilleries.
Okay.
All transport is included. Everything is included.
So,
or maybe your breakfast or something.
So I have an exam on June 13th, which is I'm going to be continually becoming more of an a-hole between now and then because I'm just going to stress and stress and stress and stress. I mean, I had coworkers and they would say, Erik, why do you do this? You get so stressed out and you become irritated. And I tell people, it's like hitting yourself in the head with a hammer because it feels so good when you stop, you know? And preparing for exams, so the day after the exam, my reward, whether I pass or not, I'm on a plane heading east. I plan to spend a couple of days in London, maybe meet a couple of guys, and then go to Scotland.
Well, that would be a good trip. I got to do something. I'd like to do it on a motorcycle and drive. This here,
Pinot fan.
Yeah, I might have to send this to somebody else, though. I think that they're gonna cry when they see the bottle.
You should send it to me, man.
No way, man.
I'm a Pinot Noir freak. That's my favorite red wine, man.
Pinot Noir. You better find some long row. I tried to get a hold of 4 bottles, and the girl, before she got off the phone, for some reason they were shipping them south, 2 of the bottles that I said I wanted.
I can get the Malbec, but I can't get the Pinot. So they do a different wine every year, and I think this year is Pinot Malbec, which is it's a Bordeaux varietal. It's mostly one out of.
I've never heard of Malbec. What's Malbec?
So Malbec is a Bordeaux varietal.
Erik, look before you speak, young man.
Yes, sir. So
I'm saying, what is a Malbec? And I'm holding a bottle of the Malbec in front of you.
So a Malbec is a Bordeaux varietal, but very little of it is grown in Bordeaux because during the phylloxera in the late 1800s, most of it died out. So then there's an area in further south in France called Cahors where they grow it, but it has found its true home in Argentina in the Mendoza region, and that's where the best Malbec is from the Mendoza out of Argentina. So I would bet everything I got.
I knew it.
It's a Malbec finish, but it's gonna be from Argentina. It's gonna be an Argentinian Malbec cask. That's where it's gonna come from.
I knew it was somebody from the chats that ordered that freaking stuff to Calgary. You had 3 bottles already in Calgary, and why did you have to take them? You sneaky little Fisk, I tell you.
Is that Jason?
Jason Fisk, yeah, he lives here too, but he ordered some extras, and they transport them from whatever. I knew it was you.
I'm sorry, I just woke up from the spiel on all the wine stuff.
I know.
Sorry.
What'd I miss?
Sorry.
That's true, Richie. They're getting out of hand. I mean, the wine finishes, they're made to keep the sommelier wannabe guys sedated somewhere else.
I could tell Eric's expertise was kicking in there, man. He was tuned in, and that story was coming.
Oh yeah,
Eric, that's all right, Jason. It's first come, first serve, but I'm coming to Calgary and I'll find you.
I'll be back in a second.
All right, have a quig.
So the issue with going to Scotland and so when I went to Bordeaux for a week, but I went with the Wine Scholar Guild. I didn't have to do any planning, any driving. It was all figured out. I had a fantastic time, and I'm a little concerned about going to Scotland because I don't speak the language. I need a translator.
Just, you know what, buddy? Just be in the moment. Stop worrying about other things. Carl Van Welligam, I hope I said that right. Thanks for joining the show, and I really appreciate you joining in there, buddy. I don't know, where did you say you're from? Belgium. So that's cool, man. I've never had anybody from Belgium on the show before. That's very awesome.
So I've had a couple of people ask me if I'm working a sommelier restaurant or if I work in the wine and spirits industry. Not as a full-time. It's always been a side gig, a side passion. I would do it full-time if they would pay me a decent salary, but they don't. So it's just always been a side gig. I've done consulting. I have partial ownership in some things, but I've never done it as a full-time gig.
Here, I'll let you geek out a little bit. I don't know if that's any good or not.
It's a port from
Sandman, 40-year-old port.
Sandman, yeah, very, very common producer, 40 years. So is it a vintage or what is it? I
don't know. What does that mean? It's 40 years old. Of course it's vintage.
No. The word vintage means something different. So there's ruby, there's vintage, late bottled vintage, LBV.
I don't know, man. It's stuck back in the box now where it's going to stay there. The language. Stop swearing. Was that me?
The language. Sorry. Yeah, Captain America's in the room. I got to watch the language.
Oh, that's the language, boys and girls. Yeah. You couldn't say that to Swami. He'd just like,
Oh, I know.
Swami's good. Well, this has been fun. Eric, you're not stressed out anymore from work?
No, I'm feeling good, man. I may be hurting in the morning, but I'm feeling good now.
Oh, I'm gonna be fine because I got to get up in 4 hours.
Oh, jeez, dude. Oh, man.
But hey, that's what we live for, you know. That's why they make Red Bulls.
Oh, jeez. Yes.
Red Bulls and Yellow Jackets.
Pete's and Starbucks.
Usually, I don't even put my coffee grinds into the coffee. I just rip the bag open and eat them.
So it looks like Scott took off.
No, he's coming back. He just went for a quig.
Anyway, Richie says, glad you went on live on Daniel's show. It's a nice element to the show. Hey, and I think we clicked pretty well. I'd like to be on again. And I think I could learn a lot from Daniel here.
I appreciate having you on there. And I don't know what you'll learn from me. I'm an old guy that acts like I'm 18 still. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff out there that I don't know about. I mean, so if you go when you went to college and master's degree, it was more about what you'd exposed to, not what you necessarily drained directly.
Yeah.
So there are these authors and these authors and these authors and these book writers and these philosophers and these theologians and whatever. So it's more of an introduction to what's out there than necessarily anything draining in particular from the professors. And so does that say, oh, I never heard of that. And it's for me. It's like, I never heard of that. I never heard of that. I never heard of that. Now, when I get offline, okay, now I got my research to do. I'm going to go out and look up more stuff, drink some more stuff, taste some more stuff. It's just a constant journey. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. Oh, I never heard of that. Never seen that.
So if I'm in a room of people that know nothing about motorcycles,
yeah,
I sound like an expert. If I'm in a room full of people that don't know much about whiskey, I sound like an expert, but I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw a news article about people for Fox or CNN, whatever. They train people on how to be experts, right?
Sure.
So, hey, did you bring enough for all of us, Scott? What the heck?
I had to go let the dogs out, and so I thought I better get me something to snack on.
Is that the new term? Instead of the quig, you're letting the dogs out?
That's not code.
That is some funny stuff. Here's something for you, Mr. Erik Waite, and your wine stuffy whatever. This is from Texas.
Oh yeah, I have this one. It's Balcones Baby Blue Corn Whiskey.
And this one is this is not whiskey. This is called Distilled Spirit Specialty, a Texas wildflower honey, turbinado sugar, and Mission Fig Spirit.
Mission Fig?
That's what it says. Yeah, I can read.
Oh, that's weird, man.
Made primarily wildflower, Texas wildflower honey, they call it.
So I haven't opened this yet, but I tasted at the Whiskeys of the World event, and I haven't reviewed it yet, but this is just weird. But you got to try something different. I'm very eclectic. I listen to almost every type of music you can think of, and so I don't have to necessarily like it. But if it's new and original and different, then I'm up for it.
Try the Brimstone if you want something different.
Is that the producer or the bottling?
No.
Balcones Brimstone is the name of it.
Okay.
You could use that at the whiskey church, the Brimstone. I'm sure.
Hellfire and Brimstone. I'll have to keep my eye out for it.
Thank you very much, Santa Cruzan. Great day, and finish it off with friends. See, so if Scott, Erik was on live first, and he would look. I called you Scott. You should be impressed. and no sign.
At least you didn't call him Erik.
Yeah, don't get me started. And he was dancing to some weird 70s porn music, and then and he was depressed and very stressed, and he's wearing some wigwam socks or something. I don't know where he got that from, but yeah, and he can do this.
Do some sliding dance, do some dancing, do some dancing.
That's the Erik Waite moonwalk right there. STDs, why does Bart call you Bruno? Well, it's because that's his name, Bruno. They have lots of romance stuff, Richard. Yeah, it's just a little nickname.
It's a nickname.
Yep. So, what do I got here? I might need one more dram to get me to go to sleep. I think maybe we'll go with something that's pretty sherried for my friend Bruno.
Now that you'll remember.
Well, you know what I remember, because there used to be a Canadian TV show up here called The Beachcombers. And the main character in it, his name was Bruno Gerussi. He was a Greek guy. But you're pretty adamant that you're German, so. I've got to go back here and get a glass. Make sure I have a nice clean glass. And we're going to pour a 1995 19-year-old Oloroso Sherry Puncheon Glendronach.
You pronounce it like a Russian.
I'm Canadian. We're pretty much like Russians.
So let me ask you a question then. So like I did that PX thing when I was first doing a review of a PX and then trying some PX finished whiskeys. And I actually I asked Roy the same sort of question, and it just coincidentally, I mean, it wasn't planned or thought out. It just so happened he went out and bought some sherries and PX, and so he was trying them. So do you ever do that? I mean, try some on itself, and so that you can see the correlation between an actual Oloroso and the whiskey, or actual PX and the whiskey.
Yeah, we did. Of course, it was a cheaper sherry. We should go get some good Oloroso and try it again. But we picked up a PX and a port, a sherry. Maybe that's it. But yeah, because we'd been trying some different, sherries and port finished, and so we wanted to see what the difference was.
Right. So actually, I thought about sending you guys some.
That's great. That's a great idea. We haven't had any PX, and I'd like to pick up a bottle of that to see.
I'll send you some. I'll send you some. I got your address. I'll send you some.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Santa Cruzan is he's our sniper on this channel right now. Hours of streaming causes multiple personalities.
But it's cheaper than paying a shrink, man. I can tell you that much.
I have lots of shrinks. I don't pay any of them. The whiskey is flowing for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just make sure I drink enough water before I go to bed.
So, Eric, we kind of know that you got into whiskey because you like studying. Is that a true statement?
Well, there was a section of my currently program. I was required to study spirits. I had no desire whatsoever to study spirits, but I thought, okay, I'll just get through this. I'll pass the exam and then move on. And lo and behold, I had him a call in 12. I heard the Hallelujah chorus. I was struck by lightning, and that was it. I went bonkers from there. And then I ordered 104 minis shipped over from the UK of whiskeys just to try from minis. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew. And right now it's actually a major distraction. I should be focusing on wine and wine alone, but whiskeys it's kind of like I'm supposed to be getting married again. And yet I met this mistress on the side, and her name is Whiskey. and she's making me think. She's making me rethink the whole marriage thing. You know.
What is my shrink? What did I say about shrinkage? Everybody keeps making a shrinkage comment. Santa Cruz and said shrinkage, and nothing wrong with shrinkage. That's what the malted man cave. Is that what you tell your wife or what? You pronounce my name awesomely well. Scott and Bart are more difficulties with that. Yeah, well, Bart for sure.
Yep, I'd say it's Carl van Vollegem.
No, Van Helm.
Huh?
Carl van Helm.
No,
Wilhelm.
I said Wallegem.
Yeah, no.
Carl van Volhelm.
Yeah, Van Helm.
Why are you guys making it into a V? It doesn't necessarily have to be. He's from Belgium, not from Norway.
Well, I can give a whole etymological story there. You want to go to etymology.com and we can discuss this further. I could be wrong. So anyway, there's a lot of Germans that made their way in France.
Sorry, Eric.
And into Argentina.
Eric, the Malted Man Cave. I think he's offering you a service. He's a mental health counselor, and he says there's nothing wrong with shrinks.
Okay.
Not shrinkage, shrinks.
Okay. As long as it's above 43%, I'm good with it.
Oh, boys. You know what? We should do a live show where we all wear manga shirts and Bart can watch it later.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hey, so I was just going to put out to Scott. I mean, if you guys have nothing to do in late June, if you guys want to make a trip to Scotland, I'd be totally up for it. I'm a little nervous about going there by myself, but I would really, it'd be really cool to go to Scotland. So if you guys are up for it and got a mind for it, you got time off. Anyway, just something to think about.
I just want all of us to go to Food Quigs one day on a Sunday when he's doing his 8-hour show and knock on the door.
I have to bring a sleeping bag next.
We should just knock on his door. Each guy come in with something different. Like, hey, pizza guy. Well, I never ordered a pizza. I don't know. I got to.
One of these. In the very near future, I got to do a live with him. I got to send him an invitation to do a live with him. But if I can hang,
Jason, it is excellent, and I wish I had more than the heel. It's very dry.
What are you doing at the moment? The Glendronach?
Yeah, 1995 Glendronach.
Okay. And that's an Oloroso finish?
It is a Oloroso Sherry Puncheon.
Okay.
Meaning the size of the barrel. Am I right, Scott?
They are that's not a finish. That's exclusively matured. Wow. And how old is that one?
19.
19-year-old, so 19 years in Oloroso sherry butts or puncheons, you said. Yeah.
Wow.
Because typically what you see, if it's a 12, it's spent 10 years in a bourbon and 2 in a Oloroso or something like that. So that's wow.
Yeah.
That's 19 years in a sherry cask. Wow.
Yep. And they are delicious.
Yes, they are. The Spirit Safe said that he almost ended up at Food Quig's house after the whiskey festival. Was that this year? And he was in your hotel room. I don't want to know anymore. John Post is.
I think that was probably for the Spirit Safe. That was just last month or 2 months ago at the
Victoria Whiskey Festival.
Yeah, the Victoria one. Yep.
That would be a good spot if everybody can make it to Victoria at that big festival.
I watched Food Quig's. He did a video of it, and he was recording himself live at the event. He must have had like 47 samples. I don't know how he did it.
But I'm
always
afraid that my epilepsy will kick in when I watch him do a live video because that phone moves around like crazy.
Whiskey was an Olympic sport. Food Quig could get the gold, no problem.
What happened? Spirit Safe got my back door smashed in.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. Sorry, Spirit Safe.
It's about my bedtime. I'm gonna have to sign off here pretty quick.
Okay. Me too. I gotta really. I'm having too much fun in some ways, and I think the guys out here. We've had about anywhere from 10 to 14 viewers the whole time, so it's good. Guys, thank you very much, and Eric Wade, appreciate you joining me, and Scott, it's always a pleasure.
It's been a privilege, gentlemen.
Thank you for inviting me in.
Oh, thank you.
I got to go take some aspirin and drink some water, and then go to bed.
Me too. Everybody, Salancha, have a great night. Thank you very, very much for watching.
All right. Good night, gents.
Bye-bye.
Salancha.